Doing that one. Hello and welcome, and I sincerely hope I can be heard. Can I be heard? Hello and welcome. Now you can actually hear me. I've turned my microphone back on. Universal controls for the win. So, welcome to the first RPG in quite a while. On my Druttercup runs section. Hello, Inwil.
Echo.
Why is there an echo? Who's got an echo?
Oh, it was okay the first time. I think what you did to fix it made it doubly
hang on.
good.
Yeah,
there we go. No, it's okay. It defaults to activating my microphone, but the audio, of course, is coming off Video Ninja. So it was coming through both my window and the microphone. I hadn't realised because it was off the bottom of my screen. Okay, so welcome to Druttercup Runs away, and I am running this evening the Liminal Quickstart, as you can see. A game of UK-based urban fantasy where essentially every single weird shit thing you can imagine exists and is real. So you have fairies, you have werewolves, you have vampires, you have the undead, you have so many ghosts it's not even funny. I have rules for what happens if the ghost you're trying to communicate with is over 1,000 years old. You have...
That's ageism.
Yes, absolutely. You have all sorts of things such as Neverwhere style, I'm not going to say sewer dwellers, underground dwellers. You have magicians, you have formerly powerful organizations who are now attempting to regain their former stature, or at least pretend they haven't lost it. You've got religious nutters who believe that magic is evil and therefore the whole thou shalt not suffer a witch to live is taken very literally.
So kind of Neverwhere meets Lockwood & Co. meets Monster of the Week.
Meets Monster of the Week, with heavy elements of things like Rivers of London, and I am going to stand by my decision to insert the Uncanny Kingdom. Which...
I've not read much Uncanny Kingdom yet, but I enjoyed what I've read. So
yeah.
By all means, stick to it.
Yeah. We're on the new layout, which I think works. I think it looks okay. And it took me long enough to get the texture right, so there's that. So, welcome everybody. Our players today are Chrono Magistrate.
Hello.
Fish Not Fish, aka Fishy.
Hello.
Hope you don't mind, you are
I've said it before,
fishy.
but not on this channel. I will say it on this channel now. It's Fishy. Fish Not Fish is my channel name. Fishy is me. Or just Fish.
Yes, Fishy, you are fishy. We know this. Oh, sorry. That was mildly insulting.
You'll have to do better next time. Make it properly insulting.
That was my subtext. And Bookworm.
Hi.
It's lovely to have you all, eventually. So, where is my PDF? I'm running Theatre of the Mind. This does feel a little bit like I'm going all in without a safety net at the moment, because I've been using Fantasy Grounds by default for so long. So,
we're too used to the crutch of VGT.
I know.
Let's get back
crutch,
to the
man.
OGs.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, God. Ow. Apologise if I wince. I slept weird and my shoulder has been bugging me all day. Right. Where are you?
Yeah.
This is a game wherein do not go south. I don't go south of the river, mate. Sorry, let's get this right. I don't go south of the river, mate. Is not simply a cabbie unwilling to get hung up on one of the bridges across the Thames. London is actually a divided city in this game. The Pax Londinium is in force, which was a way to stop the various liminal groups, liminals being anyone from normal people touched by the supernatural through to your actual fairy king and queen, and anything in those curve in between. And the factions were basically ripping the shit out of each other in London. So a while ago, the Queen of Hyde Park, that's the Fairy Queen of Hyde Park, mediated a peace by which liminals had free reign north of the river, and south of the Thames is under, if I recall correctly, Fae control. Crossing the bridge, crossing any of the bridges or taking a water taxi requires diplomatic documents in order to get south of the river in London.
Does that mean no regular people live south?
No, regular people can live south.
Okay, right.
It's largely
very
to
much a
protect them.
hidden world, isn't it? So
Right, okay.
It's only for the people who are part of that world that these rules apply.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. So Neverwhere rules pretty much in force.
It is, yeah.
Cool. Okay.
It's essentially because liminals were basically massacring the ordinary populace, in not deliberately but by complete coincidence. You know, a couple of werewolf clans decide to kick off in a nightclub, and
in inverted commas, protecting south of the river.
It is.
Okay.
And the bridges are guarded by trolls, because of course they are.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously. What else?
And magicians and a religious order, the Order of St. Bede, maintain the peace. If you're lucky, the magicians will find you and simply extradite you north. If you're unlucky, the Order of St. Bede finds you, and you might end up burnt at the stake. They take trespassing very literally.
And we're playing P Division, aren't we?
You are playing members of P Division. P Division is the branch of the Metropolitan Police, where it's actually the branch of the police. As far as I can tell, it covers the whole UK, but hey. Apparently the UK is London these days. Who knew? I hesitate to say this game may have been written by Londoners.
Or Americans.
Yeah, Bede as in venerable, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
It is sponsored by both the major Catholic and Protestant and Anglican churches. Catholic and Anglican churches, the Order of St. Bede. They're all-purpose religion, and they also have a sister group, the Open Knot, who are Islamic. So you basically are covered. You can be crapped on by any religion I like. So, you are members of P Division. P Division is the widget branch of the police. They are based out of a disused mine, I believe somewhere in Shropshire, which is known as The Mine.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
A high-tech training and HQ facility for P Division. This is where you lot normally work. You are known as the Fang Gang.
Police have ever been imaginative.
Yeah. You lot are known as the Fang Gang within P Division. This is not something you're overly impressed about, but on the other hand, you're stuck with it. Because you specialise in vampire crime. That's crimes by vampires, not as vampires.
I thought there was crime that drinks the blood of other crime.
So yes, normally you are based out of the nice plush HQ, which has aircon and heating and computers that work and stuff like that in the mine. But you have been drafted, and you are now serving in the only station house in London proper, known to its residents, or inhabitants rather, as either the Wolford Nick or Sun Hill. I know. It's knackered. It's a bit run down because all the money goes to the mine, which is the bit that the politicians visit.
It's so nice to find a game set in the UK that's actually written by Brits and has those kind of references in.
Oh, so that is actually in the book, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, because the bill was actually, most of the bill was filmed in and around Croydon. So I would often see their, so growing up, I would often see their film crews as I was heading into town to do shopping or things like that. And I reckon, like, so much of that show is like, oh, I know where their car chases are going down, like which road near my house.
I was cruising a subreddit where Liminal was being discussed, and somebody actually called out the whole Sun Hill thing. They went, "Oh God, this is so unoriginal." And someone said, "You're calling that unoriginal? I'll see you on the Jasmine Allen." And I just went, "Yes." Jasmine Allen being one of the main estates where trouble happened in the bill.
Yes, in the bill.
AKA Addiscombe.
First time I think I ever saw one of the very wide rather than tall tower blocks. It's quite similar to where I live now.
Yeah, most of those with like the Addiscombe estates out in East Croydon. No.
Okay, so you have been drafted into Sunhill because you are needed to supervise and potentially troubleshoot the excavation of St James's Garden near Euston. In order to accommodate the expansion of the HS2 terminal at Euston Station, the contractors are removing St James's Garden and exhuming over 40,000 corpses. This is a massive undertaking, complicated by the possibility that some of the corpses may potentially be staked vampires. Killing a vampire involves incineration or decapitation, ideally. You can, however, put them in stasis by staking them.
It's those kind of vampires.
Yeah. Hello and welcome, especially to any new viewers.
Hey, Karen.
So, you are lurking around, basically. You're not part of the standard crew of the station house, but you are here just in case something with nasty pointy teeth emerges from the excavation and starts eating contractors or something. You are working alongside, having said how terrible they are, the Order of St Bede, who are broadly there to provide security, because 40,000 corpses in any state are very appealing to necromancers, as well as the potential for vampiric activity.
Plus, I'm guessing things like undead ghouls and such might want to feast and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun. It's chewing on the bones, that kind of thing. So P Division is working alongside the Order of St Bede. The Order have been given responsibility to watch over the storage facilities that the archaeologists are using to store the bodies as they're examined and tested, while P Division is monitoring the actual dig site. So, your briefing from Detective Inspector Skinner. I've got to pick a voice. Hang on. It's going to be tricky. Do I go with world weary? Do I go with over-enthusiastic? Who am I trying to kid? P Division, by the way, internally call themselves The Watch. Because presumably they're all Terry Pratchett fans. Is what I'm assuming. Sorry. I'll try and make my diction clearer, Molly.
It's my brain. It's not you. I just if I suddenly ask you, wait, who's Peter again? Then that's why.
Not a problem. Any of you have any queries on rules, game any references or you don't hear anything I say, please feel free to speak up. That goes for anyone in chat. We've got chat up and we can even see it. And if you have any questions, yell and I'll leap in. Okay? You reckon nominative determinism is in play with Detective Inspector Skinner? It is early December.
It is a thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen of the watch, it is 6 a.m. on a cold and dismal Monday morning, so it must be time for another briefing. Try not to get too excited. First off, some announcements. I am sad to say our request for a replacement coffee machine has been turned down for budgetary reasons, as per usual, so I would recommend bringing your own until we can find another one. And no, by find, I don't mean barter with the boggarts. Second, the venue for the Christmas celebration has been settled. For the 10th year in a row, we will be ignoring the usual festive nonsense and instead going to get bladdered down the local. Anyone who suggests the wearing of Christmas jumpers will be transferred somewhere nasty. And finally, we have some guests. After months of lobbying, persuasion, and in the end, out-and-out blackmail, the powers that be and the mine have agreed to lend us the Fang Gang. The P Division Vampire Forensic Squad. They'll be working the exhumation site at St James's Garden next to Euston. If you see them wandering around the station, make sure they feel suitably unwelcome. So, it's a good positive start. And yes, this is Seb with you guys at the back of the room going, hi. Yeah. We're new. It's new child syndrome. If I move this window, is that going to completely bugger up my layout? Hang on.
Probably.
No, because it's taking the browser source. Excellent. Sorry. I've run out of screen real escape. Real escape? Real estate.
That's Freudian.
Isn't
We're all wanting these days.
Absolutely. Yes, a real escape. Escape to the country. Any country.
Not here.
Yeah.
No.
You're welcome over here, mate. I think we've all got sofas. Okay. So, I love how the only map I've got is basically just a slightly stretched excerpt from Google Maps.
What, of Euston Station?
Literally. It is honestly. It's just a chunk of Google Maps of like an A to Z London or something. On B Street, Euston Station. Yeah, okay, fine.
Oh, it's been so long since I've been up that way, so I've kind of forgotten the. Also, they've been doing a lot of work around there, so my knowledge of the streets around Euston is very out of date.
Yeah, I think the only times I've been to Euston, I've been in the, oh my God, I've got to get to Euston in the next 3/4 of an hour because otherwise my train is going to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I apologise for the accent, by the way, on Skinner, just that kind of leapt out. Apparently he's from
that
way
feels appropriate.
down.
That feels really appropriate.
Fine to me.
Skinner.
Yeah.
He was ripping off Jay. Okay. So, after basically cooling your heels for a couple of weeks now, you were taken initially on arrival to St James's Garden, and which is now a large hall with corpses in various states.
I see my role here as keeping the locals calm, by which I mean the dead people.
Yeah.
Public relations, making sure that they all know what's happening and that everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. There are most of the bodies are from a couple of centuries back, but the place was used basically as a mass grave for quite an extensive period of time. I need to really swap those two windows over because then I can be looking up at the camera and it won't look like I'm looking at your ears.
For folks who might be wondering, this is not unusual in London. There are at least 2 points on the Piccadilly line which had to be, when it was being constructed, had to be diverted or such because they ran into mass graves. The main reason why there is a station at Hyde Park Corner is, rather than the Piccadilly line just running straight under Hyde Park, is because of that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, cemetery relocations are actually done in the U.S. sometimes too, when federal, at least past federal guidance has been
under normal
involved.
circumstances.
Yeah, where you need to relocate historic sites or including cemeteries.
Yeah.
You find it a lot where cities have grown, because traditionally, particularly if you go back to like the medieval period, cemeteries would be on the outskirts of town. But then, of course, as towns grow together, that becomes the middle of the city. And suddenly you find you've got a cemetery where people want the real estate.
And with a place that goes back to Roman times and before, you've got a lot of different villages. You've also dealt with a lot of different plagues over the years and other emergencies. So, yeah.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Not to mention the Martians buried underneath that tube station.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my giddy up. But people like Detective Inspector Skinner's induction pep talk to new members of P Division.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead.
please.
Which kind of serves as
Might be a fun
back
place to go.
blurb for the whole game. But isn't actually part of the scenario. It's just part of the rules.
Is Inspector Skinner the like the chief constable of Sun Hill?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Certainly, there doesn't appear to be anybody superior to him working here, because the superiors are working in the nicer offices.
Yeah.
With coffee machines. London population? Who knows? Supernatural population? More than I can mention. When your average gangland rumble can have someone calling down bolts of lightning from the sky, Brick Lane Market's got frigging Bogart selling object of fade to tourists who don't know the rules, and every so often one of the locals goes fells and rips up a Pomeranian on walkies in Hyde Park, every day is a new and frigging thrilling experience on the watch. Yeah, the watch, that's what we call ourselves. Gives us a sense of pride and oneness. You know, better than the arse end and nowhere division of Her Majesty's most secret service, with less funding than your average daycare centre. Oh yeah, welcome to P Division. That's your career prospects heading south of the river. That's the pep talk and intro that every new member gets.
I'm sure morale is excellent after that.
Yes, being shunted to P Division is not seen as conducive to getting a promotion. Ever.
Quite glad I'm not a member.
Can you adapt anti-coyote dogwear to defend against supernatural foes? Actually, probably yes. Almost certainly. Now I think I know what people who are going after werewolves probably wear.
Well, I was thinking for the dogs.
Well, yeah. Canine Division obviously is a thing. But yes, I've seen dogs in bite-proof vests. I've seen dogs in stab vests. That's always wonderful.
Yeah. Well, anti-coyote wear usually has the spikes and the little feathery antennae that freak out.
I haven't seen the feathers. I haven't seen the antennae.
Those are cool.
I'm surprised people don't use that around here for the seagulls.
It would work. It would definitely work for smaller dogs because it would freak out the seagulls
for a little while.
Freaks out seagulls.
But they could still. It would still also offer a little barrier.
I've only seen one dog with the massive spiked collar, and that was a Chinese crested. A friend of ours used to have, who had the big spiked collar with the Bat Dog logo. The collar did not go small enough for her neck.
No.
It had a gap like that. I had to go chasing after that dog so many times. Right.
So we're on.
You are on. Okay, so.
Secondment or whatever.
Yeah, you're on secondment. So, are you telling me the names? I don't care. The dig is being headed, by the way, by one Jennifer Connor. If I say Jennifer Connolly, I apologise. I watched Labyrinth too many times.
Because so will we.
Yeah. Head of the HS.
Is she the lead archaeologist, or
She is. She is lead archaeologist and head of the HS2 Heritage Committee, which is probably pronounced HS2 by at least half the people you work with, but not by me because I can't. I have to actually think about doing it like that. So you were introduced to her when you first turned up, but basically you've been sitting, kicking back, drinking bad coffee, and getting bored out of your skulls for the last week or so.
I've not been drinking bad coffee. As a civilian consultant, I see no need to put up with police issue coffee, so I have definitely been bringing my own. If all else fails, I use Uber Eats.
Look, Euston Station is right there. There's a Costa. There's at least a Costa.
Yeah.
I bring my own custom beans from home.
Oh, I see. You're the one with the little handheld grinder. Yeah. The one that does like 5 cups worth at once.
I just bring along those hot chocolate packets to dump in.
I just got visions of at least one of you, like Quentin said, swinging by the Costa in Euston, and just wandering past the milk, sugar, and what have you, sprinkles, toppings station, and just going shelf swipe. Not that I am advocating shelf swipe.
We have the Order of St. Bede, and on this side, the Order of St. Bean.
Oh God, this is going to run to 2 sessions, isn't it? Sorry. Okay.
Yes. The Order of St. Bean.
You would be the only one surprised.
Thus named because the founder got a turkey stuck on his head.
Ow. So.
You were saying, Drud.
You actually get a call. You have been tasked to action and attendance. Yes, I've been reading Rivers of London. Bite me. You have been actioned to attend the St. James's Garden dig, the HS2 dig, because 2 bodies have turned up. It looks like the whole reason you've been drafted down has actually happened, which, given there are 40,000 bodies, a vampire... It's just,
I was just thinking, they're moving 40,000 corpses and 2 bodies have turned up. Well, I should hope damn sight more than 2.
Well, okay. New residents, not previous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unaccounted for.
Yes. And it is indeed a good series, Skerrick. Okay. As you arrive, you are met by a completely panicked-looking security guard. Which hand is he lost? Oh, who has a prosthetic hand on the right-hand side. You've met him in passing. He is basically in charge of security for the site, so he patrols the boundary. And if anything unpleasant happens, he's supposed to either send a flag up for you lot or the Order of St. Bede. It depends whether or not flamethrowers are required at any given time. But he does the night patrols. This is not a coward. But you are met at the gate by a panicked Joe Hurst. He has already cordoned off an area with tape and railings, temporary railings, and used a gazebo, one of the shelters they were using for fines and to cover bodies. He has tented off an area of the garden, specifically the railings. So it actually runs up and over the railings near the main gate. Yeah. Sorry, Adobe Acrobat just decided, you know what, you want to skip 2 pages, and I thought, where's the plot go?
You didn't need to see that page, wasn't it?
I didn't need to see that at all. I need to read the Abigail.
Nah.
Okay. Oh, thank God you're here. Okay. It's fine. It's all good. Okay. Who's in charge? Who do I talk to?
Just double check, but I think that's probably
Joe.
me.
I have a feeling
I
it is.
think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
indeed.
Probably.
So Molly, you're the medical examiner.
Yes.
Brooks, you're the scene of crime officer, and I'm the head of Fang Squad. Cool. All right. Samir steps forward. I mean, Samir was already at the front, and steps forward with a kind of strange glint in his eye. This is hopefully going to be another gold star or star for his hopeful record. Like, he lives in hope. Samir lives forever in hope that this is the case that is going to get him properly noticed. He's made the head of the squad. He's on to higher and better things. Right, Mr. Hurst. What seems to be the problem?
Right. Okay. There are a few media lurking around who are trying very hard with long lenses to get some kind of sight under what's going on under the tent, and they are edging closer and closer because he beckons you through the gate, and then very determinedly padlocks it and gives them 2 fingers, which in his left hand, obviously. I'm tempted actually to have him just define his right prosthetic hand as just permanently set up like that, unless he wants it otherwise. Have that as his resting.
If anyone complains, he just claims he's a Churchill fan.
Yep, that's thought.
I cast a quick glance over my shoulder to see what he was sticking his fingers up at before walking through with the rest of the team.
I'm just huddling over my coffee. It's too early for this.
There's a couple of journos who are waving their mobiles in your direction in the hope of picking up any speech, and a very bored-looking cameraman who has 2 cameras around his neck. One of them, which he is currently fiddling with, has a lens that you could usefully use as a coffee table.
I really wish that this was more Dresden Files and Rivers of London, because I could fritz those phones and cameras.
Yes. Yes. It is contraindicated to use technology against around magic, but I haven't found anything like that in this so far. I say so far. He pulls you through. Oh, hello, Jessica.
Hello,
and
Raiders.
My goodness.
Hello.
Welcome, Raiders.
Welcome, Raiders.
Excellent. Lovely to see you. Please enjoy the bad accents on my part, as we have investigations of vampiric nature in London. Sorry, I am really suffering from dehydration at the moment. So, Joe brings you through, and all but grabs your arm and hustles you through to the tent. Okay, look. I was on my rounds, and these 2, they've been here for the last 3 weeks, as far as I know. They've got people bringing them food and stuff, and social media and shit like that. And they've been here for ages. Now, they were fine on my last patrol. Okay? I want to make this very clear. I got my standard insults. They swore at me. I offered them a bacon sandwich. One of them accepted. We got used to them.
Business as usual. Yes, I understand.
They were not like this. And he opens the side of the tent. And that's interesting. Okay. 2 women are chained to the inside of the fence, the railings that go around the edge of St. James's Garden, with placards reading, "Leave the dead in peace. Heritage, not HS2. I think we know the type.
Mm-hmm.
They're quite well dressed in a it's a quite expensive dress down. Ripped jeans in the came pre. And one wears a crop t-shirt with a leather jacket or leather effect jacket, and the other one is in layers of hoodie. She has at least 2 separate hoodies on. You can tell because they are both very, very dead. They have obvious wounds, both puncture and slashes, and one of them has been opened from neck to navel, and her insides, which are traditionally not open to the air, are exposed and scattered around, tangled around her feet. That's the one with the hoodie. You can see the different layers. It's like its own little archaeological
That's
dig
not
on
something you see every day.
No, but tell me you do
no.
not. No, David has not got that voice. Please.
Why
I'm
not?
not sure. Oh God, I'm not sure I can cope. Is this revenge, my evil bastard voice? There is also a copious amount of blood, not just around the eviscerated woman. There's a sentence I haven't said in a while. But also in swathes and pools, barely covered by the very large tent, which is sized to be able to cover up to 20 bodies. So we are talking big.
So I'm guessing I don't need a medicine roll to see how these people died.
Well, now, it's not necessarily the most obvious thing. And
am I seeing anything with the sight?
I gesture to Tony. Get looking at them. Alice. Wait, hang on. Alison is Molly, right? Or is Tony? Hang on. Was who?
Molly is Tony. I'm Allison.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
Like Books is playing me.
Sorry.
Yes, I am Tony.
I was just thinking Molly is Tony sounds a bit like a Zen key.
Dr. Tony, can you start on the bodies?
Certainly. Yes. Easy way to remember my character's name. She's rich, and her name is Tony. So she is very Tony.
That's a stark difference between you and the rest of the crew. Sorry.
Yes.
Alison, start marking out and taking pictures, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I look up at David. Go to it.
You're up. Okay.
And I will carefully. Oh, I will put open up my case, pull out shoe protectors that go up to at least mid calf. Attach those, and then carefully make my way across the bloodles,
or around them, I guess, as best you can.
Yes. To approach the 2 victims.
Yeah, I pull out my notebook and start jotting down what Hurst has said.
Yeah.
And then kind of turn back to him. So, how long ago did you find these?
Just a bit before dawn. I take an hour or so to do a complete circuit because I like to do it in detail.
Mm-hmm.
He's very shaken.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just bringing up everyone's character sheets on the PDF so I can remember who's got what abilities. Yes, by the way, you will have your scene of crime kit, your evidence collection kits. You will all have gloves.
Good.
You'll all have access to the little booties. And I am going to say that since you knew it was a murder, you are all there in possession of the paper noddy suits.
Nicola would like to ask for a US definition for paper noddy suits. Is that NODDY or NAUGHTY? I don't know.
Paper overalls.
Apparently,
Okay.
Apparently it is legitimate slang for it. It's not. That's why it's used in Rivers of London.
Okay.
Is basically it is the paper overalls. It's the disposable stuff to stop you contaminating crime scenes. Although to be fair, this crime scene's pretty damn contaminated in and of itself.
Sorry, for Americans, paper coveralls, because overalls are different.
Oh God, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have.
So it's the full suit. I get like a hazmat.
Yeah.
Made of very thin paper.
Yeah. Essentially, you can investigate a crime in it, and then you can go home and you can do some house painting in the same outfit. I don't recommend exactly the same.
Before suiting
use it
up,
to hide
Alison
well-known
will-
actresses. Sorry, carry on. Books.
Alison will groan quietly, chug the rest of her coffee, and then ask Joe if anyone else has been by yet and how the reporters knew what happened.
Well, they've been covering the protest, and trying to film the archaeologists, hoping that they're going to find something, something valuable, someone famous. I know they're going to recognise them. They're all bloody skeletons for the most part. Well, mostly. Well, I suppose.
No one's been by yet?
Well, I'm expecting the boss soon, but she hasn't turned up yet. But she works from 9 till 5, really. There's no point in her turning up before dawn. But she was not impressed with me. Apparently, I should have spotted the murderer and stopped him or something. I don't know. It's not my job.
You did good. Good man. Clap him on the shoulder. Start photographing the crime scene.
Right. So.
All right.
Right.
Right. I talking to Earth a little bit more. You got a name for any of the lot out there, or know who they work for? Have I gone Cockney? Not.
it's contagious.
It's contagious. Yeah, I am a South Londoner, but I don't.
You're South London, yeah. Oh my God, you're from south of the river.
I rid myself of that accent a long time ago.
I'm in an area where estuary accent is standard, but I've never had one.
Yeah.
So I have to think about it and then try and sound like everybody I live near.
Yeah, exactly.
which is just weird for me.
Yeah, I am not doing my character's accent because no one needs to hear my attempt at a Barbados transplanted to London East Side accent. That's just asking for trouble.
Yeah,
I need to
hear me try to do any
We'll give you a pass on that one.
Yeah.
I actually need to introduce you to somebody I follow on social media who she is a Londoner, but she is Afro-Caribbean. So she does reaction videos, but they start off in fairly standard multicultural London English.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly she will deliberately flip and it's pure Caribbean auntie.
Oh, I love that.
Full on patois. And she just flips back and forth. She's fantastic. Her standard at the moment would be quite appropriate here. It's when people are announcing archaeological discoveries or we have dug underneath the Antarctic ice caps 2,000 feet down and found worms. That kind of thing. And her standard reaction at the moment is, put it back! Put it back!
Yeah. They just had a bit of David is staying well outside the blood splatter area.
Okay.
But will quietly attract Alison, if I remember rightly, attention on the way in on their way in, and say, as soon as you can, if you can get me an ID on them.
Bring me coffee and I'll get you that ID faster.
Okay. Right. There is
I'm
one
looking for a coffee shop.
smartphone. Okay. As you leave, you hear the electronically generated noise of a twin mirror DSLR. Somebody's forgotten to set it to silent. So, of course, they don't have to make a noise these days.
No. Well, that depends. I mean, most of the better ones still have a mechanical operation because it is better than pure digital. So probably does still, go clickety a lot.
Yeah, but it doesn't make the full on. And hello, Gold. Who is Gold? Okay. So, yes, as you leave, you can hear that going off as the cameraman, the photographer, takes some snaps of you on the ground. You might be interesting.
Yeah, if I can see the if I can identify, if that sound leads me to seeing a photographer stood there, I will just casually walk over to him because being the civilian consultant, I presumably have work as a medium or something outside of this, and I'm just going to hand him my business card.
He looks up at you, looks down, and says, "All right, okay."
And then, as I say, heading off to get myself and Alison a top up on the coffee. Nobody else asked for one, so it'll just be us.
Once you get close to the Paps outside, by the way, Fish, the photographer has got a couple of lanyards, one of which is his ID, but you can't quite make it out unless you're actually going to pick it up and read it. There are a couple of reporters. I say reporters. There are a couple of journalistic types looking disreputable and sharing a couple of cigarettes. And one of them is wearing a clip-on mail group badge. You can't see
Of course,
who
it's
the other
mail
one
group.
belongs to.
Not really paying any attention to any of them, unless one of them is Liminal, which I should be able to tell because of the site, but I'm assuming they are just reporters.
No, they are just largely bottom feeders. Let's face it, you do not get dumped on a gig.
Go for coffee.
Yeah, you do not get dumped on a gig like this for extended periods of time if you are also bringing in the classic money shots.
If you're a Pulitzer winner, then you're probably not covering the moving of a cemetery. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, just talking to Hurst again. So you say these two have been here like most nights. How long have they been protesting here?
Oh, they've been here since day one. I don't know how they got wind of it. They turned up with their own chains, their own padlocks, and overnight they just set up. Like I said, they've got friends, family, followers, God knows, social media followers. They turn up, they give them food, they give them drink, the whole bit.
Right.
You
pass
think
through
they get
bars and
bored?
whatnot, I'm guessing.
Sorry?
Have they? What? So folks have just been passing them through the railings?
Yeah. I mean, the railings are far apart, easy. They're big enough that a kid could get their head stuck in. Minimal trouble getting it out again.
They've been shouting anything, making actual noise, or just holding up the placards?
Yeah, usually only during the day, and waving their placards. This is I think the third or fourth lot of placards. The archaeologists do keep taking them away, and then next thing you know, someone else has turned up with some paint and some magic marker, and they're at it again. I'd have thought they'd get bored, frankly.
Yeah.
Well,
these types they're single-minded.
Oh yeah, I think there's one brain cell between the two of them. They've just
not anymore.
True.
They're literally
sharing any harm on them. They were annoying, but I don't. Obviously, they were young enough to have grown out of it. Eventually,
the lot out there, and I nod back in the way of the journos. You know any of them? Know who they're working for?
Not off the top of my head. I'm assuming tabloids. We had some of the broadsheets through. But that was right at the start of the project. They did some narration, they did some camera pieces. We had the BBC, they were very earnest, and they did a couple of interviews with people from the transport.
Ain't going to be stationing anyone here.
No.
Hearing all that, I'd like to call over. You said they've got a following. Do you know what their accounts are online?
No, I don't really do. I don't really do social media. I know that they have, because they had fans turning up and taking photos of them, and selfies with the protests.
Did you ever catch the names then?
No, I've never, and I wasn't about to go digging for ID now.
Yeah,
once
the doctor's done, Alison, get whatever ID you can, put it on the table over there, and we'll have a look through.
Yeah.
Okay, Tony, would you like to do a cursory examination? Obviously, you're not going to be setting up for an autopsy here, although there are those who would say one of them is pretty much already set up for an autopsy.
Yeah, the main problem would be picking up all of the stuff that has been scattered.
Yeah, there's fortunately the archaeological dig is equipped with some very large, opaque bin bags, which are very, very much designed for those corpses that come unassembled, because there are bodies here that are all skeletal.
Just one more thing before we jump to Molly, if possible.
Okay, sure.
I pat Joe on the shoulder and tell him, slip him some cash. Tell him, go grab yourself a drink, and we need a pair of bolt cutters. We're going to need to get them off the railings.
Okay, I can sort those for you.
Cheers.
Yeah. Right. Yes, he's an ex-engineer, ex-mechanic apparently. I don't know why they decided to tell you this. He's an ex-car mechanic. Yes, ex-car mechanic, which is why he's only got the one hand, because he had an accident at work. Those bits that they say don't touch. Oops.
He shook hands with danger.
With danger, yes. Yeah, I just had exactly the same thought. Okay.
Anyway,
yes. Moving on, Tony.
Yes.
You have two bodies here.
Yeah.
The left-hand one is intact but covered in slashes and puncture wounds. That's the one in a crop top and leather jacket. It's December. I'm just going to say someone was doing this for the pics. And the right-hand side one has had her multiple hoodies slashed open and her insides removed, but is also her head and her face and hands are covered in slashes and bites. And punctures.
Okay.
Quick aside. Before the examination, I'd like to get a bunch of pictures of the bodies and the setup.
Absolutely. Yep, you can do that. Not a problem. That's you can get those on your phone, which will be your standard. Let's face it, it's better than most cameras, most dedicated cameras.
And during the examination, I'll start taking general crime scene photos.
Not a problem. So, which would you like to tackle first, Molly?
I believe the one who is more still packaged. Simply because, assuming that I can get to her without stepping on too many of the other's organs and bits, because we will need to collect all of this, and take it back to them for examining.
Righty ho. Okie dokie. Sorry, I just managed to scroll past the page I actually wanted. Right. The one on the left, then, the still packaged. Looking. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Looking at her body, she is very, very pale. Examining the back of her, there doesn't appear to be any lividity.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's fairly obvious.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to make me a medicine check.
Certainly. Okay, and that's 2d6.
Mhm.
So I have a 5, but I have a 2 medicine forensics, and so I still don't hit
You
the
still
8.
don't? Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
You can spend
Okay.
a point of will.
You
can
can-
after
I was-
making a roll, you can spend will to increase your roll at the rate of 1 point per point of will.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you would only need
So-
to do one.
Okay, well, I will. I might as well, since I was so close.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah,
yes.
Unlucky. So, it looks like she was thoroughly exsanguinated. There's not enough blood around the wounds, her bite wounds, which are on the side of the throat.
Mhm.
They're not neat, and it looks like whatever bit her definitely had a couple of goes before they hit something good. But although there is a small amount of blood around the neck of her shirt underneath the jacket,
Mhm.
there isn't enough for the wounds that she's got. Also, looking at it, the wounds on her hands are primarily on the palms. So the slashes are primarily on the palms of her hands.
Okay. So.
So you're guessing that she died by exsanguination.
Yeah.
This is looking like the reason you were called in is valid.
Okay.
Turning to the other one.
Yes. And yeah, I'm also curious for the other one whether she exploded out or was dug into.
Okay,
Well.
I'm going to let the successful medicine check stand because I feel this is one where we're not going to be rolling as often as is my normal want.
Okay.
And this is really taking a lot of self-control on my part, I have to say.
Sorry.
So no, it's the game. If vampires get their own country, would that be an exsanguination? Ouch.
I think
it
it would be a
pro-sanguination.
So,
Yes. Somehow you made it worse. Okay. What this is the wounds, the cut wounds on her are mostly around the head and neck area. And the wounds in her neck, the bite wounds in her neck, are larger and more ragged around the edges than the first body. And also, looking at the edges of the wound on her torso, you can see that it's ragged around the edges. This is a rip. It's possible that something simply went like that and just clawed straight down, ripping her open.
Okay. And then scattered her insides like confetti?
Yeah, it's possible that they weren't deliberately scattered, more that
someone's table
pressure.
manners were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, there isn't as much blood in and around her body as you would expect for the huge wound. It's not clean, but it ought to be a pool around her. And it isn't. There are simply arcs of blood and splashes all around the rest of the scene.
So, given that we don't know the setting and things,
Yeah,
How
okay.
do vampires operate in? Obviously, we should know and be familiar with how vampires operate. How do vampires commonly operate in this setting?
Yeah. Do they?
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
just like big
vampires.
toe, breast, neck.
Vampires are think Dracula.
Right.
For the most part, vampires that retain self-control are on the Dracula end of things. Newbie vampires wake up very, very hungry, and obviously, they're more likely to be quite aggressive. Vampires that have been staked and therefore in stasis also tend to wake up in need of some morning meal.
Right.
They can operate in daylight. So as I said, Dracula rules apply.
Okay.
However, they are hampered. From experience that we're not talking evaporating in sunlight, but we are talking severely impaired.
Right. Okay.
Their preference is always to operate at night and hole up somewhere dark during the day.
So, Buffy style, kind of like Buffy style presentation of vampires, but with a daylight, like XP allergy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, are we going with single bite to turn?
It's usually more of a full-on exsanguination followed by the feeding of the blood.
Right.
Okay.
X and then re. So again,
Yeah.
Buffy style, which they would want to take their time over and things.
As I said,
sure
it's
we want
a bit
to
Dracula.
off the fence.
So generally speaking, it will only be like feral vampires who would do something this wanton, like feral stroke young stroke hungry.
Whatever did this was probably very hungry. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Given. Sorry.
One of the questions I do want to ask Tony through you. Looking around at the amount of blood, is this 2 people's worth of blood? Because if so, the vampires didn't feed. How much blood are we talking was actually lost stroke ingested? Which is, I can't believe I'm asking these questions. Like, these sound like terrible questions to be asking, but they are setting appropriate. I assure you. Yeah. Like, how much blood was actually drunk as opposed to what we can see around here? Because it looks like if this is 2 people's blood or close to it, this feels very strange.
Okay. Right, Molly. For you, this would be a medicine check. However, I am going to allow a help assisted roll.
Okay.
Which, if I recall correctly, gives a +2 bonus. If Books makes a successful check, I would request awareness using your scene of crime speciality.
Nice.
So that's a +2 bonus to your roll. If you succeed, then Molly will get to roll medicine at +2.
Nice. 9 + 2, 11.
Yep. Sorted.
Okay,
Molly, you got the bonus.
+3?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2d6 plus your skill, plus any bonuses from traits.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, and I have something I want to look for after this as well.
Okay, sure.
So, okay. So +2 for medicine, and then +2 for books. That is 10.
Excellent. Okay.
I can measure volume even when it's spread out.
Yeah. Looking at it.
Did we explain to the audience, by the way, that the speciality gives a +2 bonus?
No.
Because you said that Book's roll was with the speciality, but
Yes, my apologies.
missed
Yes.
whether we'd said that was a +2.
No.
bonus.
Yeah, when characters have skills, when they have a speciality in that skill, in this case, Book's character has Scene of Crime as a speciality on her awareness, they get a +2 bonus to the roll on top of the +2, on top of the level granted by the skill.
Oh, so I think that was actually +5.
Yeah, you basically
in
rocked
that
it.
case,
Yeah, I got a 14.
Oh,
applied,
critical.
in that case, you applied a +4 instead of a +2 to Molly's roll.
Yeah.
Because you got a critical on your
Okay.
assistance.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so critical is over
It's 5 over the
5
target,
over the target.
number. Okay.
yeah, which is 13 normally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what Books is able to give to you is there are traces in the blood, and this is obviously just on a first look, of, you're not going to like this, there are saliva traces and bile mixed in with much of the blood. There are streaks of green. And this indicates to you that it was perhaps ingested, Molly, and then vomited.
Oh, fantastic. I will.
This doesn't look like 2 persons worth of blood. This does only look like 1 person's worth of blood.
Do vampires have bile?
They do.
Well, they will have stomach processes because if we're still going by nebulous bodily functions still occur. And
Yep. Yep. Oddly enough, the write-up I have on vampires does not give me their intestinal contents.
How odd.
You didn't get a full biological breakdown on how they work. That's just not good enough.
No, nor are they water soluble.
Okay.
Okay.
While they're carrying on with the investigation, I would like to do my own search of the scene, and I'm particularly looking for tracks.
Okay.
Okay. And when we come back to me, I'd like to look for any broadcasting tech, because if they have a social media presence, it's possible their phones, if they're still in working order,
that's what
might
I
have been
Alison
recorded.
to do, because it's like we need to take any ID and stuff that they've got on them, put them on the table, and then catalog that, and then we will go through it, and presumably David will want to see that as well.
Okay.
Right. Yes. David's skills, and you will know this because you've worked together, work much better when talking to the dead when he has their name. That's
why I
mostly
asked
for
for
the
an
benefit
ID
of the audience.
earlier
Yeah. You can do it without, but it's much more difficult.
Yeah.
It's more of
We
an
need to do this
you.
by the book.
Yes. By the bell, book, and camera. The bell, book, and camera? Where did that come from?
Honestly,
I like
It's
that.
social
That's good.
media.
It works.
Hang on a
that's
minute.
really
Yeah.
good. Write that down somewhere.
I am actually. You think you're kidding? I am.
Yeah.
No,
Especially
absolutely,
because
write that down.
camera, I see, or
Yes.
Or actually, in the sense of the room.
yes, exactly.
Yes. Oh. No.
Shall I do an awareness search check then?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, you're looking for tracks. Okay. Sorry. My apologies.
Can I add my investigator bonus?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. 8, 9.
9. Okay, that's good enough. Okay. There is, around the crime scene, there is mud, and dirt, and stinking mud. some of which is still damp. It's December, but it's not been raining. It's mixed in with the outskirts of the vomited blood spray, and there's some things you don't often get to say. You can indeed see traces, now you're looking for it, leading off away from the bodies and towards the railings, the other side of the gate. And you can see smears of blood actually on the railings themselves and on the flat part that joins them. It's possible that whoever did it was jumping the railings and basically vaulted over. You can see on the pavement, the other side, smears. It may well be trackable.
Yeah.
Before the day kicks off and Euston really gets going.
Yeah. Crap. Okay. I'm going to do something terrible here. But before I do something terrible, I just wondered, like, is there any indication of the tracks coming from deeper within the garden?
I'm afraid that's going to be another check because it's slightly more complicated, and there is overturned earth already to deal with.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do another search track then for that. That is 9 plus 4, which is 13.
Oh wow. Okay. Yep. That's critical. Okay. So you can indeed work out that there are trails through the dirt. It's a certain degree of dragging gaits, so there are longer smears, as if someone were maybe limping.
Yeah.
Occasionally, it's not just footmarks. There is at least one point where there is a mark like somebody's hand has connected with the ground and dug in. But you can see it leading into the excavation, and with that critical, you can see it leading towards a ladder running down into one of the pits. Are you going into the pit?
Not yet. Okay.
We all die together.
Right. So having seen that, I then clap my hands to get Alison and Tony's attention. Right. Looks like we've got a rather nasty situation on our hands. Doctor, obviously, once you're done here, Mr. Hurst is going to bring back bolt cutters and get the bodies down. We'll then want these bodies secured for you to do an autopsy in the appropriate place. Requisition whatever you need from the dig site in order to do so.
I'll need to requisition at least several square meters of this topsoil as well.
Yep.
Ask Mr. Hurst for whatever you need to gather the evidence. Alison, of course, make sure that everything is bagged up and labelled properly. Once we've got their ID stuff, put them on the table over there. When David gets back, let him know what's what and who's whose. He may wish to talk to our victims before we bundle them up and autopsy them. Probably best for him to do it in situ, but obviously he's the expert. See what he says. I then take Alison and point out the tracks going into or coming from the ladder into the pit.
Okay.
Right. We want this secured. No one is to go down there until we've had a chance to check it out.
Okay. Right.
I'm leaving this. I've just got one more thing.
Okay.
Because this might actually, I don't know if this is going to affect what you do.
Okay.
Right. Let David know when he comes back. Alison, you're in charge of here until I get back.
Oh no.
I'm going to check. Yeah.
Oh no.
I said this about I'm going to split the
Oh
pot.
no.
I'm going to follow.
Of course.
I've seen some stuff on the other side of the railing. I'm going to give that a quick gander. Yeah.
Oh god. Oh, they are right. Okay, fine. Okay, I am going to call a brief AFK while I go and cackle quietly in a corner, and panic.
Actually, genuinely, if you would rather us stick together, I can do. It's just this feels appropriate, but I may not go far.
I can see why you would feel it appropriate.
Yes.
I will say it's not necessarily a great idea.
Okay.
But I will also explain a little bit better when I get back. Okay.
Okay.
Back in a mo. We'll take a break, and if you hear any weeping, it's me. Okay, welcome back. I hope everybody can hear me, and I don't know why suddenly I'm doing this voice, but okay. So, welcome back to Liminal. We have found 2 intermittently gory dead bodies. Well, one really, really gory and one fairly gory dead bodies in the St. James's Garden Mass Cemetery, and neither of them are official internees, which is just rude. So, Alison,
Intrusive.
as scene of crime officer, you can be going through the ladies' clothes and such, looking for ID and mobiles, that kind of thing. So you're looking for wallets, wallets, ID, mobile phones.
Yep.
Okay, so I refuse to use the term cell phone because not only am I British, but the game is, so yes.
Yes, we're in London, it would be a mobile phone.
Yes. Pardon me, excuse me.
Yeah. I'll also take the chance to look at her clothes to see about how well off she probably is.
Okay. Yep, so give me a scene of crime awareness. Let's make you make a roll.
6 plus 5. 11.
Yeah,
I could do
ridiculously
math.
good at this. Okay. Going through, so this will cover you basically raiding their pockets, their clothes, the whole thing. And you can label check. It's easier on the one whose clothes are largely intact. The one with the multiple layers of hoodies, she has what looks suspiciously like a band t-shirt as her inner layer over a sports bra. And then she has a couple of hoodies, one pullover and then the zip up over the top. Ironically, the rip that opened her up went down the side of the zip. It didn't actually rip the zip open. But she was definitely dressed for the cold weather. You get the distinct impression that there was some common sense involved there. Or as commonsensical as there can be if you've spent weeks chained to the railings outside a graveyard. The labels on her clothes are primarily things like Primark and Boohoo. So
this means nothing.
I will.
Okay.
Don't worry. I am going to explain for our foreign viewers
and players.
Yes, that this is fast fashion. It's Primark is okay, but it's usually very cheap. It's not necessarily the most hard wearing gear. And of course, Boohoo is
Old Navy, but slightly cheaper than Old Navy.
Oh, thank you for that. That's something not having been to the US. That's not something I've encountered.
In the scheme of the brand, Old Navy, but not Banana Republic.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, now you're just showing off because I did. I said okay, thank you for that though. I think it's probably quite useful. And Boohoo is slightly
online,
north of Shein for
online retailer.
Online only retailer. Not great, but functional and fast fashion. So that's the eviscerated one. She has a smartphone, and she has indeed got a wallet inside the zip-up hoodie.
If I try to open the smartphone, does it have like a fingerprint lock or a password or anything?
It does. It has a fingerprint lock, and it has a fingerprint sensor on the screen.
I would like to unlock it with your finger and then set the screen to always on.
Okay. Yep, that's not a problem. So, I can't remember which is which. Give me a mo. I need to check. Yes, it's Lucy. So, yes, you can indeed unlock the screen by grabbing her hand and plonking her thumb on the center. If you try her index finger first, that doesn't work. Only the thumbprint works. But it spins and then opens. It's a mid to low range Samsung. It's not it's not the current model by any means, but in the reasonable category. And it opens to an Instagram page.
For now, I'll leave that alone and go back to crime scene stuff now that the phone will stay open.
Okie dokie. So, looking at the other body, the more closed off one, her clothes are artfully studenty. They are, as I said, acid washed and ripped, carefully ripped, but just doing the pat down search, you can feel that they are all really well made. And the jacket looks suspiciously like it is actually leather rather than pleather, which was kind of your first assumption. Possibly vintage. Her labels are, she is wearing Zara for the most part, almost exclusively. And her boots are Timberland.
Okay. Decent quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one looks more standard student. I don't think neither of them look particularly old. Thinking in student terms for the UK, you're looking at early 20s.
Where's her ID?
Yep, you can indeed pull again. There is a microfiber wallet inside, printed with the Anarchy logo, with a label discreetly mounted inside. It's a Prada.
Oh. Okay. Anything? Is it a specialty sort of item that would only be sold in select Prada stores, or
Prada stores? It's probably one of the cheaper things that they could sell, but they are only sold in the stores. You're looking. It's a fairly exclusive item. Certainly, dressed the way she is, this is not something that she would be wandering into a Prada store to pick up. Her friend, definitely not. Molly, would you like to make me I believe you have awareness.
Does she have a smartphone or?
Yeah,
she does indeed. The one with the jacket has an iPhone, because of course she does.
Mm-hmm.
And also, as I said, the wallets both do contain IDs, and they are both student IDs for University of London.
And what's the name of the second one?
The name of the second one is that's in the wrong book. Hang on. Right, the one who looks better off is Becca Davey. The one who is worse, who is more reasonably dressed for a protest, is Lucy Bruce. And not Lucy Brucey, which I keep wanting to say every time I read that name.
Exactly. Okay, so Spag Bowl is Lucy.
Yes.
And
wow. Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
That,
Okay.
That
was going to go slowly, but okay.
Okay. Yeah, Spag Bowl, and then like garlic bread, I guess, for the other one. Alison,
as you go through Becca's jacket, there is a small set of keys hooked by a lanyard to a key ring, which is sewn permanently inside the inside pocket. One of those extendable jobs. And the ID you have is student union IDs for both of them. So it's National Union of Students.
Then I would like to
actually,
check
you're
both
doing
their
that.
teeth.
Sorry?
I would like to check both their teeth.
Okay, both their teeth are normal.
Darn.
Can you get the iPhone unlocked? You can certainly attempt to locate the fingerprint sensor on an iPhone. Good luck with that. Look, I don't get on with iPhones. I've tried. Honest to God, I have tried. I pick them up and it's like suddenly I have reverted to a Neanderthal. I prod at them, nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking current times and it's an iPhone, it's probably Face ID.
Yeah, it does have, indeed, it does actually have the fingerprint. Let me just say, okay, so the iPhone is not cased, which, if I have not given any indications as to the fact that this woman has more money than sense, that should do it. The sensor is actually mounted at the back, on the back of the case. And the hoodie girl, Lucy, hers was in a flip case, her Android. I don't know why it is. I wish I could use iPhones, but I can't. It's just me. The operating system makes no sense to me.
No.
So you can indeed switch it on and fiddle around until you find a fingerprint that works. The login options are indeed passcode, fingerprint, or face. I will tell you now, face at the moment does not work.
Yeah. We'll find a fingerprint. Just out of curiosity, with Lucy, so I think you said she was cut open basically from chin to navel?
Yep.
But
Starts
it wasn't
just
on the
below the
jacket
collarbone.
line. Yeah. But it wasn't along the jacket zipper, so did it go through the ribs instead of the sternum?
What it did was the jacket was pulled. You get the feeling it was pulled to one side. You made a really good awareness check. I'm going to give you this for nothing. If somebody was holding the hoodie to secure the body, to secure the woman, and pulling the whole top askew, and then proceeded to make the cut, that would give you the wound you're looking at. It is, as you look at it, the wound is to the right-hand side of the zip.
Heart side. Okay.
So yeah, you can boot, and this one opens to a video recording. Obviously being recorded on the phone itself. Does not appear to have been uploaded.
How's the battery life on both?
The battery life on the iPhone is showing about 50%. The battery life on the Android is showing about 75%. Something you can find in both their pockets. It's the jeans pockets, not the jackets. Is both of them have small and very similar looking block, quite cheap power banks.
In that case, it seems like we've got some time. I'll set them both to charge and investigate more of the actual crime scene while we're here.
Okay. So, you can set that up. Okay.
Maybe Tony will want to watch them once done investigating the bodies.
Oh, good. Stuff videos. So, Tony, do you have anything else you would like to do this immediate moment with the bodies? You can set up to have some constables come and also morgue attendants will come and sort out the retrieval once you're through.
Yes. Well, there was something I was going to investigate, and you were asking me about my awareness
Oh yeah.
score, but I have forgotten.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah. It's something that you will have come across. You do have the awareness skill, so I'm just going to give this to you for nothing because it's not urgent. Looking at the state of their nails, Lucy's nails are quite badly bitten. Whereas Becca's are gel. They are gelled to a French manicure, so it looks fairly natural, but they are definitely not natural nails.
Okay. Anything underneath?
Yes. Not on Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
But on Becca, she has something under the nails of her right hand.
Okay.
And
making a note to check that specifically during the postmortem.
Yeah, you can extract that basically. You won't be waiting for it to be moved. You will be okay. You will be able to extract that and put that in an evidence bag straight off. Little scrapey tools. Judging just based on what you can see, it looks like mud, but there are also fragments of what might be skin. It would be a microscope job to confirm, but there are definitely bits of hair.
Okay. Can I tell if it looks human, unhuman, or non-human?
It's either it's either normal hair or it's fur, but it's only a couple of strands.
Okay.
They're about a centimetre long, and they're caught down the side of the nail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Microscope job.
Yeah.
So until you actually picked them up and started looking, it didn't really show up in amidst the mixture of blood and mud.
Yeah. Okay.
But the strands are about 3 or 4 centimeters long, she says, realizing she got it wrong.
Okay.
So yeah, you can bag and tag.
Okay.
Right. I am before you go off and do something suicidal. I'm going to let David come back.
I'm assuming that by the time all this has happened, he's come back with the coffees and sort of standing around, not wanting to get involved with the bodies. He prefers them once they're already passed over. Easier to deal with then.
Right. As you return, you've got the site. Would you mind reading to me what the site actually gives you?
The site. You can sense the presence of magic, magical and shape-changed creatures and illusions. You can't see through illusions, though you know them for what they are. You can, however, see through magical invisibility and see ghosts which have not manifested.
Okay. Right. On your way back, you spotted someone, but you're not entirely sure they were there. You don't know whether it's invisibility, whether it was just a coincidence that they then walked behind somebody and maybe turned away and blocked your field of view. But there was somebody with a dog who appeared to be paying some attention to the gardens. She wasn't there when you first turned up. Definitely a she. But it gives you.
I'm going to take a detour.
You slightly. Okay.
We'll take a detour over that way and see, because I don't. don't like this idea of people disappearing. They shouldn't be able to do that. So I'm going to wander over and see whether from a different viewpoint, there she is. She's just walked down the other end of the road with the dog.
Okay. You've got awareness, yeah?
I have awareness, yes.
Could you please make me an awareness check? This is
Make
based
an
on
awareness
audio.
check.
So if you have anything like keen hearing...
I don't have anything special that will help with that, no. I don't have... None of my traits give me a bonus to anything. They just let me do things rather than giving me any bonuses.
Yeah, I thought they were.
That's 9.
Right, okay. You can see emerging from behind a lamppost, and I do mean that, as though she was wiping in a movie. A woman who glances around and then heads down the stairs into the Euston Underground. She has, appropriately enough for the barking, a relatively small dog with her. Dog on a bit of string. Okay. And on her back is a guitar.
Right. Okay, just sort of trying to commit it to memory so that if I spot her hanging around again, I'll know.
Okay.
But at the moment, I have nothing that connects her to the crime in any way. So,
no, what you get, what you see on committing her to memory is slightly mucky, double denim, and mirrors sewn into the back of the jacket in swirling patterns. Which you can see when she shifts the guitar. If you had to call it, I don't know, maybe busker. The dog is quite well behaved. If I've seen anyone
today who looks like they could be liminal, then she's it.
Yeah, she's it, yeah.
She has that. She has that the other side of gutter mage thing going for her.
Yeah, through and out the other end. Okay, you were asking Books if any of the ground's blood looked like it had been scooped up or licked or anything. Why do you always come back to licking? Why is it if there is icky stuff, you're considering licking it?
Well, I'm not licking it. In this case, if they're starving vampires, they're going to go for any blood.
Right. Okay. Looking at it then, because you're explicitly looking, the ground underneath the blood shows claw marks. It's possible that something clawed at the blood on the floor and then it flowed back into the grooves.
And do I know of any other creatures that would go for blood like this?
Like this specifically? Probably not. Werewolves tend to go for meat. Ghouls would tend to actually have removed chunks of the bodies. Blood is pretty much for vampires. And if mages were using it for rituals, the odds are that they would have taken more neatly. You know, they'd have done the siphon thing.
Okay.
They're tidier.
Yeah. You know, bowls, jars, that kind of thing. Something sealable.
Oh
okay,
no,
so yes.
I've just had a really bad thought.
Yes.
Do tell.
I don't know if it's a bad thought. Shouldn't he keep it to himself?
Oh, because that's just put me in mind of, you know, it's a new movement in Magecraft. Nose to tail thaumaturgy. Yeah. No part of the body is wasted.
Oh.
Okay. Well, better than how I initially imagined it, which was basically turning animals into a circle and locking them there. So that would be not
marginally
fun.
preferable. Okay, so actually, yeah. Oh God, yeah. No, not going now. So David, after your detour, you can indeed make it back into the crime scene with your little tray of coffees. I assume you're buying for everybody because you can expense these.
No. I said earlier that Alison was the only person who asked me for a coffee, so that was the only one I was bringing was mine.
Okay. Okay. So yes, the scent of coffee wafts in as you move past Joe Hurst, who lets you straight in.
Yeah, I will head to the evidence table and take a look at what we found. So I'm keeping away from the bodies, but I'm fine with evidence.
Okay, two smartphones. At least one now set to screen permanently on. Showing the Instagram of one Lucy Bruce.
The smartphone that is actually accessible at the moment. David is going to spend some time flicking through it and trying to get a feel for the person it belongs to. I have the assess personality speciality of empathy. Can I make a roll on that?
Yes, you can indeed. So people's social media feed is a really good way to find out what they were actually like.
Well, okay. Glad I have the speciality. That means I only failed by one.
You're blowing a point of will.
That's what I'm just trying to decide, because all my abilities require me to spend will to activate them. Yeah, I've got plenty. I'm going to spend a point of will to get that. Okay. So that brings me to an 8 on my 2d6 plus
4. Wow.
Yep, these are my dice.
Yep. Okay. Right. What you get is earnest. Lucy was clearly an art student. Her feed is a mixture of installations she's done, a couple of her sharing Instagram filtered food, not food cart, that's American, sorry, burger van burgers. Okay. So think your full on glossy filters, but you know, your cheap and shitty smash burgers.
On a cheap horse burger pretending not to be.
Yeah. Kidding, these days that costs you 3 times as much. But also there are some verbal posts, quite a lot of to camera videos where she's talking about, in this case, the abhorrent exhumation of St. James's Garden, believing that the bodies should be left to rest in peace, that it's just plain rude, that they are disturbing them. Have they gone for all the relatives? Do they even know where all the relatives are? They should be tracking people's descendants. Some quite weird rants, but quite eloquent about it. Her accent is quite close to Received pronunciation, with a touch of estuary creeping in when she gets excited.
Yeah. Pretty much as I expected.
Oh, my accent, basically.
Yeah. She also most recently has uploaded a couple of videos of the actual protest, filming both herself and her friend.
Has she tagged her companion?
She has.
So that means I've got an ID. I mean, we've got an ID anyway, but I haven't a link through to her social media.
The ID card for the friend, the student union card, that reads Rebecca Davey. The tags are referring to Becca.
Yeah, it was Becca you gave us earlier.
Yeah,
but I was assuming that was short for Rebecca.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, but the ID, the formal ID is actually Rebecca.
So I think what I'm going to do is, rather than spend too much time surfing social media with somebody else's phone that we don't want the battery to die on,
Oh, any indication of knowledge or belief in the supernatural? Nothing specific.
Once I've checked any local content,
Mm-hmm.
I'm then going to basically just copy, do a quick search and find their social medias on my phone.
Okay.
And check them out, continue the process of, assessing, again, assess the other one's personality, Becca's personality as well, via their social media, but on my phone rather than run down the battery on Lucy's phone.
Would you like to make me another check, please, on your empathy?
Let's see if I can do a bit better on this one.
Yeah.
Slightly. So that's a 9.
Okay. You can indeed. It's primarily Instagram. You do find a LinkedIn page where she has shared some fairly anodyne posts regarding history, local history articles. Most recently about St James's Garden. But you get the distinct impression a lot of this was possibly culled from like Wikipedia and reworded. Her Instagram posts, again, primarily selfies and selfie conversations, diatribes. She has a weird faux Cockney accent.
Oh dear.
Think Nigel Kennedy.
That's exactly the name that came to my mind. Yes.
Yeah,
it's my beagle. Thank you very much, my beagle.
It's quite distinctly Cockney, but it is almost theatrical Cockney. And sometimes on her videos, when she gets overexcited, her vowels slip, and suddenly Rodine comes smoothing through.
How green are my wellies?
How green were your wellies, indeed.
So playing at Mockney,
Playing at Mockney, indeedy. Also, it's noticeable that Lucy's stuff is quite spontaneous, possibly even uploaded as live. Whereas Becca's is edited and has filters applied, and the lighting is better, and just generally more produced.
Yeah, I'm getting the impression of a lot of face here. You're not seeing the person; you're seeing what the front that she wants to put across.
Yep.
So really, my attempt to assess her personality really tells me there is none of her personality in her social media.
Very little. There is a carefully curated personality.
Yeah, the personality she presents, but she's not actually her. Yeah, fair enough.
Right.
Just for your verification, but Techie has just told everyone all about Sniper Elite 3, which you're apparently playing at the moment.
That's weird because I did change the.
Yes, I'm pretty sure she shouldn't be doing that.
No, she shouldn't. And she shouldn't at all because that's not what I did. I am confused. I did actually change. Hang on. That's going to bug me.
Not important right now.
No, but I'm going to deactivate that command so it doesn't anymore. Rather than retype it now. No, I had changed it. It's just for some reason it didn't accept the change. Who knew? Okay, so I want that window. I was looking for you guys going, I can't find Video Ninja. Too many tabs. Okay, so Fish, are you going to have go at getting at one of the girls? And if so, which one?
Not
facing
spontaneously. No, this is very much something to be done in coordination with P Division. I get to ask 3 questions if I summon one of their ghosts to talk to. So it should be the right 3 questions, which would be the 3 questions that the officer in charge wants answered.
Okay. The officer
I'm not
in
going to
charge.
waste them on just asking my own.
Okay, the officer in charge, Samir, is over at the far side of the garden.
So I suppose I'd better go and see Samir and let him know that I've got what I need to be able to speak to the deceased if that's important. So just as Chrono is desperately attempting to separate himself from the party and get killed, I'm going to spoil that for him by walking over there.
Yes, Molly Dick Van Dyke.
Okay.
No, actually, no, not Dick Van Dyke. Not quite as Australian.
No, that's mock Australian, surely.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah, this is more. Oh yeah, I'm one of you lads. I'm one of you. I'm one of the lads. No, you're not.
Desperately
okay.
Ritchie movie.
Yes. But yeah, Nigel Kennedy, definitely. Who started off like this and was very, yes, of course I've been studying music since I was 6 years old, and ended up with all right, my old cocker. It's no, stop it. Okay. So as you have pretty much come to the conclusion that there's a trail leading off over there, I might go and investigate that on my own. And the Scooby-Doo fans of the world are going, oh, for God's sake. David comes wandering over to you.
David, got what you need?
Yes, we've got the identification, so I can talk to them anytime that we need to. We just need to know what you want them to tell us.
Okay. I'm guessing you don't want to do it here, do you? Or
you're probably best off wherever.
But there's a lot of journalists over there. They already know who I am, so there's going to be questions about you calling in a medium as it is. If we actually do anything in front of them, God knows what will happen.
I mean, you're screened, but that's fair. So we've called in the boys to get them moved to one of the examination tents. So once that's done, you'll have a clear run at, and it's quite clear that Samir is a little bit uncomfortable with this part of the thing, and as much as he wants to try and put a reasonable face on it, he's very much in this stuff.
Best to do it somewhere with a bit of privacy. These places can get a bit busy, to be honest.
Yeah, I can well imagine. Look, while we're waiting for the boys to move the bodies, looks like whatever it was came out of the pit over there. So we're probably going to need to go down there at some point. But I did see some tracks on the other side of the fence, so I was going to take a quick shifty and see if those go anywhere. I look over and I call back. How long is it going to get them moved?
Okay, Tony, you will. I'm assuming that basically you're proceeding as you would normally. You've requested an ambulance, the coroner's ambulance, which I always love the fact that it turns up as an ambulance.
I thought they were going to get moved to one of the examination tents here.
No.
Okay,
yeah.
Right.
No, they're going to be bagged up and removed.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, to a proper facility.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because I'm guessing that David has basically come over as I'm just looking down into the pit and debating as to head out. So
basically, you can expect.
Now that I know the pit is of interest, he's just going to look down there and see whether the site shows anything.
You can expect a couple of uniforms turning up soon, and you can expect people from the coroner's office to come and take away the dead people. Well, the new ones. So where is David? David is there. You've got that, which lets you do that. Okay. I would like you, please, because the site does let you do this. but I would like you to make me an awareness in order to interpret it.
Yeah, there's a difference between being able to see a thing and knowing you're seeing a thing. That's what awareness is for. Absolutely. Ooh, that's 10 on the dice. So that's a total of 12.
Nice.
One
not
away
quite
from a critical.
Yeah, not quite a crit.
Where's Fishy, and what have you done with him?
Yeah.
He stepped out after making the earlier rolls on his empathy skill.
Okay, looking
Just
down,
wondering whether
looking
it's worth
across.
spending the point of will at this point and making that a critical.
How often does will refresh? Is it a daily thing, or is it
not?
Right.
No.
It actually comes back quite slowly during downtime.
Right.
But
Okay. It's a downtime.
Once per session. I think is it once per session or once per adventure? Possibly once per adventure. You can engage your drive, which it doesn't tell you what that means at all, other than every character has a drive, but and recover a D6 endurance. So you can basically do that, I think, once per case.
Yeah.
You can
choose
just to get a D6 will back.
Okay, that makes sense. Right. So it is a highly limited resource. Or like your will is per adventure, basically. Yeah.
Essentially, I'm debating as to whether to make it per session for that one D6 recovery, because it strikes me as potentially useful.
It is once per game session. You can do it. Yeah. So
it is once per game session.
It recovers slowly during downtime, but when you're actually adventuring, it comes back pretty quick, because once per game session, you can get a D6 back.
I was going to look something up, and unfortunately, asking me that question just completely drove it out of my skull.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
You'd asked David to look at something, and he got a 12.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I was just trying to decide whether to spend a point of will to knock that up to a critical.
That's what I was going to do. I wanted to look at crits. That's it. I wanted to know what
so
gave you, because there's a list.
Criticals. There's a list of things that you can choose from. The GM then interprets what it specifically means.
Yeah,
and those are. A companion succeeds in a related skill test without having to roll. You gain extra information from the skill test, which is what was done with the critical earlier, but books rolled. You accomplish what you're doing quicker than expected. You look really cool doing the task and impress an NPC, bystander, or ally. You infuriate and distract an NPC who doesn't like you, or you do the task subtly and without attracting attention. So...
yeah.
If the journos can see me and are looking in this direction, I would go for the subtle task.
Yeah.
If they're not, I don't know that it's worth spending the will point.
Okay, I am going to say that no, they're far enough back, especially since Joe is basically now guarding the gate completely. They can't get line of sight particularly. You're looking at a good,
basically comes
50,
down to
50 meters.
Do I think? Basically comes down to do I think it's worth spending a point of will for extra information, which may not exist. Or the other part of that is you could also find out something incidentally by observing something while performing your main task. So it could be that on a critical, I get whatever information I get from the pit and spot something else as well that your will seems important.
Yeah, I will say that if you do a critical, there will be something in it for you, but I will understand if you do not wish to do it.
I'll spend the will point then. So that's a second will point. I should really make a note of how many I've spent here, since it's an important mechanic.
Yep.
So I'm down to 8 will, but I will bump that up to a critical and gain extra information, either directly about the skill test or something incidental that you think.
Yeah. Okay. What you initially get is, looking across the whole site, there are multiple patches of almost shifting mist, which you've come to associate with the presence of the supernatural.
Yeah.
Now, most of them are quite faint, But looking down at the pit in front of you, there is almost a cloud rising about 2 or 3 feet above the ground in one specific trench. It's basically the pit has been excavated, so you've got a ladder leading down, and each of the bodies as they've been removed, some of them have, some of them have not yet, is in its own dugout oval trench. One of those empty trenches is almost emitting mist up to a couple of feet deep. And that is more dense. Although you can see through it, it's more dense than the generalized. There is weird shit going on. Because this is a big place and a lot of people have died and been buried here. And some of them will have been magical. However, the extra information is a trickle of the mist has, I'm not going to say has actually, is flowing up the ladder. It's like dye in water if you then made a little hole in a jar. Only it's flowing up rather than down. It's just trickling up slightly. It's a thread. You might not have noticed it under normal circumstances. And it's heading over to the tent where the bodies are.
I shall follow the thread.
Okay. As you
got something, David?
I have. There's I don't know what, but there's definitely something. I think they may have disturbed something in that pit there, and it looks like maybe it went this way.
Okay, as you are head down following the thread, you spot just off your trail it looks like a stick, and there are plants and undergrowth and things. Nobody else has given it a second thought. It's not dramatic. It's not obviously a weapon or anything like that. What it is an old stick, but you recognize that it's an old stick that had a point. And all that's left is a piece, not even 6 inches long, that is rotted off, but the tip still has that distinctive whittled to a point element that you'd expect from a stake. The thread of mist flows out around it, broadens out just at that point, and then carries on towards the tent.
This is more your area of expertise than mine, but does that look like a stake to you?
I take a look, bend down. It does. Right.
I think we're dealing with an old one that's just come back.
I pull out an evidence bag. I grab. I mean, I'll have gloved up once. I thought, but I pull an evidence bag out of my pocket, pick it up gingerly, put it in, scribble the tag, and just hold it with me.
Okay. As you pick it up,
we head back to the
As you pick it up, basically the clods of mud around it, most of them fall away. And under your hand is, although the back end is completely rotted and horrible, the stake itself, or the stake tip itself, was clearly at one point quite carefully carved. It's very smooth under your hand. That would have gone in lovely. Very little friction. Carrying on following the threadfish.
Yeah.
The path goes like this as it moves towards the tent until, well, the railings, to be fair, where the bodies are. And as you approach, it suddenly goes dead straight. For the last...
fella's been weaving all over the place.
Yeah.
It's either drunk or playing stakes and ladders.
Ouch!
Oh,
Oh, I did not expect quite this
Yeah.
many puns today.
Straightens up here. I'm guessing this is where he spotted the girls.
Hmm.
So when it straightens up, it's going straight to where the bodies
Yeah.
were, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
At this point,
thread
found
heads towards the left, which is where Becca was. And then the cloud, basically the threads flows into a pool and just evaporates as you're looking at it.
I shall pass that information on. I'll explain exactly what I'm seeing.
Okay. But yeah, it would make sense, as you say, if somebody was weaving back and forth slightly, having climbed out of that pit up the ladder.
Yeah, probably. Just woken up, hasn't had their coffee yet, doesn't really know what they're doing, and then sees a barista.
Yeah,
and off like a shot.
Yeah. Anyone else thinking Caesar Barista needs to be a coffee company? So you have the tip of a steak.
Mm-hmm. I pass it as we get in. I pass it over to Alison.
Okay.
Definitely dealing with vamps here, folks.
Mm-hmm.
One seems definitely came out of the pit. Bag this up, tag it with the rest of the evidence.
Okay. Okay, at this point, uniforms are turning up.
Right, okay.
And the mechanism of gathering up the dead people and fortunately for you lot, shoveling Lucy's intestines back into, if not the body, then at least a couple of large plastic bags before she and Becca are body bagged properly. So, are you going to return to your suicidal urge of solo investigating the trail, or are you now going to take the rest of the fan gang with you and investigate the trail?
Yeah, because I'm guessing it'll take a while for them to get to the hospital or wherever the post-mortem is going to. Wherever
it'll be back at quote Sunhill.
Sunhill.
Unquote. Okay. Yeah, you've got your own morgue there.
All right. Okay, folks, while we're waiting for them to get back to Sunhill, I tell some of the uniforms, cordon off the pit. None of the archaeologists are to go down there until we return or until we give the say so. What's her name? Jennifer Connor. There we go.
Yeah, Jennifer.
I rip a page out of my notebook, and neatly, he's got very good handwriting. Does Samir, and write a note. Pass this over to Dr. Connor, and it basically says it basically explains. This is now a P Division investigation site to be on the safe side. No one is to enter the pit until we give the sign off. I put my mobile number on if she wants to talk to me directly. No doubt I've spoken to her when we introduced
you are familiar with.
Yeah, exactly. I've done the nicey things.
She's quite brusque. She wants this done over and done with, and would rather not have to rely on you lot.
Yeah, and I say, apologies for the inconvenience. We'll be done here as soon as we can.
Okay. So,
and then hand that off to a police officer to give it to her when she comes by, and then I gather up my squad and says, looks like we're going to go on a bit of a hunt before the crowds out there
right
stymie any sort of a trail.
Lore question. Do
Okay.
vampires ever stake themselves or have someone stake them just so they can be in stasis until something more interesting happens?
You have no idea.
Fair enough.
Certainly, you've never had a long enough conversation with a vampire to establish whether they do or not. It's a valid tactic. It wouldn't kill them, but it does put them in the power of whoever was doing the staking.
Okay.
Out of
Given that
character, I can
people
answer
can-
that question for Vampire the Masquerade, but I've got no idea for Liminal.
They could. Whether they do or not, you have no idea,
Fair enough.
if that makes sense.
Do we?
Mhm.
And I'm willing to make a lore roll on this if you think that's appropriate.
Okay.
Do we have any idea whether vampires in this setting have something like the torpor that they use in Vampire the Masquerade, where they don't need to be staked, but they can go into a kind of a semi-voluntary coma for decades or centuries at a time?
Not as far as you know.
Okay.
In order to get a more definitive yes or no, that would be a law check, but it's not something that so far as you personally have encountered.
And we already know there was a stake there, so it seems reasonable that this is someone who's been staked, and exposure to the air, etc., has allowed them to recover, presumably because the stake has just deteriorated too much to do the job anymore.
And if the body was disturbed, for example.
Yeah, the body was disturbed, the stake got dislodged, and it's like, oh, whoopsie, it's those films all over again. And
I'm guessing that the stake, I don't think the stake was removed in situ, because it was dropped in the wrong, it wasn't in the pit, which implies to me that the stasis deteriorated to the point, quite possibly, where the vampire themselves was able to pull the stake out, and they had it in their hand until they got a certain way into this wander out, and then dropped it.
It would fit.
That's how I would interpret the scene, but it is guesswork, probably.
New business model: stakes that destroy themselves after a certain number of years.
Yeah.
They're biodegradable. This is the thing you said with a wooden stake. It is biodegradable. They're very good for the environment.
Yes. And unfortunately, if you're then going to bury people in the ground as opposed to in a nice sealed concrete vault.
Yeah.
As some places do. Right. Okay, so I'm just checking how initiative works. Not that I'm implying you're going to have a flavor.
Initiative is a little strange in this. It's not a traditional initiative system. It's each of us makes an awareness check, and which is modified, it's opposed by the enemy's possibly awareness. I'd have to look that up to be sure what it is it's opposed by. So that just adds to the 8th difficulty number. If you make your awareness check, you act before the bad guys. If you don't make your awareness check, you act after the bad guys. But there's no actual initiative order. So we're presumably still doing the after you. No, you after you thing for those of us that are on either side of it.
Yeah, that's the impression I get. Okay.
Yeah.
So, moving back to there. You can indeed look at the traces of mud leading away from the gardens. You can head out of the main gate, since I'm assuming you're not climbing the railings, because that would be embarrassing to fluff acrobatics or something and then get impaled, which could happen. And oh dear, sorry. Right. There's some things you shouldn't say to players. Oh, dearie me. Okay. I would like a awareness check, please, for the tracking. And I will let anybody else assist. This is not a group task. You do not have to all succeed.
Only one person can assist, so it should be probably the two people with the best awareness. Do we know who that is? I've got a 2 awareness.
I have a feeling it's going to be Alison and Samir, but
Yeah, I have 2 with a bonus because I'm guessing that this would be like to find hidden objects or evidence. I'm guessing following a trail falls under
Yeah.
that.
I'd say
Okay.
that qualifies. Yeah.
Yeah, would this still be scene of crime? We're still following the scene of the crime.
Yeah, I'll be nice. Okay.
All right. Do you want to roll and then I'll do the? I guess since I'm taking the lead, you roll and to assist me. Yeah, is probably the best way of doing that.
So you're all pootling off. Oh, Molly's found it. Okay, for some reason it swapped Molly and Books' window, but only on Video Ninja. It's okay. I just thought, oh no, don't tell me they're all labeled wrong. No, they're fine.
Yeah, they've been moving around all afternoon.
Yeah,
for me.
sorry. Yeah, not
Unless
for my
you're doing
DOB,
it.
unfortunately. Okay.
7 + 5 is 12. I successfully assist.
Okay,
Yay.
and that gives me a +2. You say, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that is 6 + 2 + 2 + 2, so 12. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'll spend a point of will and push. I'll push that to.
Okie dokie.
To 13.
Right. What you get then is it's unfortunate. It is simply a easier time of tracking.
Sure.
The person you're tracking ended up in the gutter for quite a while, and that could have thrown you off.
Yeah.
Because they were going around parked cars while stumbling along the drain. However, you spot a drain cover with some mud scraped off on it. There's a few drips of blood further along. And hanging left, moving away from the station, you pass rows of houses, rows of buildings which have those the semi-basement windows. Some of which are obviously HMOs. But there is one where the ground floor is a wine shop. Not an off license, it's very clear about that. But given the offers, it looks to be packaged for the commuter market. There's an awful lot of bottles of single-serving wine in the window and multi-buys. But looking at the stairs down to where the basement entrance is, you can see quite clearly blood on the wall, on the brick, because of the crit, and the basement window has been smashed inwards.
I'd like to look around for anyone who saw what happened.
Okay, there is nobody else on this street at the moment, and
I'm guessing it's still early. Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
early. Right. Yeah,
it is very early.
Store is shut. Standard opening hours, so I'm guessing no one's going to be here until like 8 a.m. at the earliest.
Yep. There is a cellar that there is the door leading down to access to the cellar.
Yeah. All right, folks. Make a note. We're going to proceed. Investigate this smashed window and see. David, presumably hang back a little. Get the station. Be ready to call the station if we need backup. Standard protocols, everyone. And he pulls out. Samir pulls out his baton first.
Okay, back in the asp. Okie dokie.
And then we'll proceed down the stairs. And I want to peer in through the window through the broken window first.
Sure. It wasn't a double glazed window. It is an original wood framed. The glass is entirely gone.
Yeah.
And part of the frame has been snapped off as well. Sticking your head up to look in, doing this business, it is unlit beyond.
Yeah.
You get a couple of things assaulting your senses because you're sticking your head right in.
Yeah.
You get a very coppery tang in the air. And also, maybe someone was having a barbecue down here. Because you can definitely smell possibly cooked pork, maybe burned pork.
Right. As in, like, sweet meat smell, or this is very acrid meat?
Oh, definitely left way too long on the barbecue.
Right. Okay. Alison, can you get a couple of pics of the window? And as you just said, I pull out a palm torch and just shine the light in.
Okay. Glass litters the floor immediately beyond the window, and very clear traces of blood and mud dragged across. Beyond are racks of wine. It's obviously where the shop is using for storage. And you can see at least one pool of liquid coming out from behind the nearest wine rack. Wine shelves.
I feel like I should say the thing I've been assuming, which is Allison doesn't have a stake visible, but she does have one where it's easy to grab and stab in a single motion.
I'm guessing that we're all equipped with stakes as kind of like standard issue.
Oddly enough, no. However, something that it's intended to give you later. But frankly, given you are the Fang Gang, and vampires are your speciality, you're not getting the guns until you decide you need them. But you can have stake batons.
Right, okay.
You can have stake asps. They are made from reinforced natural carbon fibre and pointy, as opposed to blunt-ended.
Sure, that makes a lot more sense.
They are still usable as standard issue asps.
Yeah,
but they are also perfectly valid for staking vampires.
Cool.
And I see no reason that you would not already have that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that our shared background would mean that the rest of the gang would know that David is capable of wielding necromantic energies which can harm both the living and the dead.
You've been working together for quite a long time now.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
He also, by the way, has so you'd also note he also has counter magic. And according to the description on that, he can protect himself and others against magical attacks using that.
Can indeed.
Oh, nice.
So my law skill can be used to add to your defense if there are any magical attacks against you, provided that I'm available there to help.
Yep.
Do I know if any one of the team, like, what skill would be needed to pick the to open the door, the cellar door?
You're assuming I've actually got a full list of skills. Hang on one moment.
Page 33.
Thank you.
I'd argue a combination of always prepared sneaky could do it.
It's 35 on the PDF, in fact.
Of the main rulebook, yeah?
Yeah. It is actually bookmarked.
Yeah. Core book.
Actually, do I know? Like, I mean, obviously, I would know what the combat capabilities of my team are. Molly, what is Tony's combat like?
Yeah, stealth. Tony's combat.
I'm sorry. Okay. I couldn't cross tap.
What is Tony's combat capability?
It's not listed as combat.
No,
There's
sorry,
Okay.
melee or shoot.
Oh,
The
melee.
physical
One.
skills.
Melee 1.
Melee 1 and shoot 1, or no shoot.
No shoot. Just
No
melee
shoot, okay.
1.
Does Alison have stealth?
I've got stealth 2 and melee 2.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Am I with you?
Yes,
You
you
are,
are.
yes. Can you hear us?
All four of us are together.
Yeah. Okay. I just
Yeah.
No,
I
it's
wasn't
fine.
sure if I had.
No, you're good.
Oh, good.
It's all right.
Well, I had wondered if I had gone with the bodies
okay,
to
fair.
perform.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yes, my apologies. No, misinterpreted that. Yes, you
The
are indeed
impression I
here.
got was that the Samir had gathered the whole gang.
Yeah.
To come
Sorry,
along
yeah,
with
sorry
us,
for not
so-
making that clear.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
won't be able to do anything for a while until they're set up at the morgue back at the Nick. So you are with Samir and such.
Okay.
Okay.
Alison,
Okay.
can you get the door open, please?
Hopefully.
Since I know
It's
what
that
the
or-
skills of my team are, I can...
Yeah. Well, it's that or Warder with the size 9s.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. 7 plus 2, 9.
Okay. It's just the day for everybody to roll 9. Okay, yep. You can pull out the lockpicks and with a little bit of fiddling.
Not unexpected. 2d6 or 2d6 being 7 is the average number for a 2d6 to roll, and if it's a +2
True.
as standard, roughly, then 9 would be expectation.
Oh, I don't know. Make me look stupid then. I don't care. It's all good. Okay, yep. It takes minimal fiddling and the lock clicks open.
All right. Standard procedure. I push the door. Push or pull?
Push.
Okay. I push the door open with my boot. Baton on one hand, palm torch in the other, and I move it around as I take point, heading in.
Do we have
Okay.
anyone with shoot to be at the window as he does that?
Sorry, is anyone with what? Sorry?
Shoot, as opposed to melee?
I think I'm the only one with shoot, actually.
Yeah. Also, unless it all kicks off really badly, you probably want to avoid gunfire on the streets of London.
Yeah.
Details.
Okay. You can indeed push your way into the wine cellar. In fact, the wine cellar of the wine cellar, if I may swap out. So, it's dark outside. It's dark inside. Takes your eyes a second or so to adjust. And once you're inside, you can clearly see the trail of blood leading from the window. You can also, and this is something Tony notices, because it's Tony's field of expertise, there are traces of burnt skin adhering to the window frame on the inside. I would like, I believe it's lore, Lore, is the knowledge skill. Tony, do you have that?
No.
Okay.
I have lore 1.
Yeah, I have law 1 as well.
Okay. Well, assuming that you draw people's attention to what you have just spotted.
Yeah, I have a +2 bonus in research in the fields of education and lore, but I am not in a library or have access to it and to the internet at the moment.
No, this is the part. They've given full skilled characters, but they haven't really given you access where you can make the best use of those. Give me a second.
That said, I mean, so far
I'm
I
inclined
would
to
be
say,
quite
yeah.
happy to play David again. Yeah,
I'm actually quite glad you said that.
I mean, even if it wasn't necessarily with the P division, if people didn't want to play P division, because being a civilian consultant, of course, he could work with other people in a game quite easily and just still be consulting for P division.
Tony technically is a civilian contractor as well. Tony is not a copper. Tony is a doctor.
I did notice that according to the character creation rules, I have 2 illegal aspects to my character, but that's quite common in Quick Plays, I find.
It is, yes. I'm going to allow a forensics medicine. Not a forensics medicine, sorry. I am going to allow an education check, Tony.
Okay. All right.
Because this is a context one, and you deal with vampires a lot.
Yeah, I barely just got to 8.
Okay, that's not a problem. Vampires can function in daylight, but really, really bad at it. Younger vampires are very vulnerable to sunlight.
Oh.
As they get older, they get tougher. It's possible that this is a newborn vampire.
Is it light out?
It is, yeah. It was.
Yeah.
It was just past dawn when you arrived, so the sun was up. I hate to have to say it, but the sun does exist in London. I know that our American cousins may not believe this based on the media that they get, but it isn't pea supers all the time.
Okay.
So yeah, basically, vampires get tougher as they get older. So
presumably they
scorched.
wouldn't. Presumably, while they were staked, they wouldn't actually age, or they wouldn't age as a vampire.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah,
that is
okay,
something
right.
you know, and I was wondering how I could kind of wheedle that one in, but thank you for coming up with that on your own.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, they're kept preserved at the point of maximum freshness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the point they retain the status they were when they were staked.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
if someone was staked shortly after being turned,
and then left on the ground for 200 years, and then they would still be classified as a new younger vampire,
and then be caught by dawn, having come back out of their hole.
So
in the ground.
this kind of makes sense for what we know and what we have. Cool.
Okay.
All right.
And potentially a double hunger problem, being young and out of stasis.
Yeah. So yes, we will. Samir will proceed at point, beckoning the others to follow, as I follow the trail of blood and mud, proceeding slowly. With the lamp, out to kind of give us the best chance of not being caught unawares.
Yep. Okay. There is a pool of wine on the floor ahead of you, and a smashed bottle. The trail of now blood, wine, and mud goes around the next rank of shelves. To the left. Basically, you've got the wall of the cellar on your left, and you've got following the path, you've got another set of rack of shelves ahead of you. It goes all the way back to possibly the back of the building, but your torch only illuminates maybe 10 ranks deep. So you following the path?
Yep.
Okay.
And periodically double checking behind us.
Gods.
Since
I don't know.
David was instructed to sort of hang back and be ready to call for reinforcements, he's trying to do that from a position where he can see into the building, even though he's still technically outside.
Okay.
Actually,
Trying to watch their back as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the door is open anyway, so you can, if you wish, be down the stairs.
Yeah, basically lurking in the doorway at the foot of the stairs. That's what I was thinking.
Okay. As you turn around the next shelf, it's been quiet. But as you turn around the next shelf and shine the torch down, something skitters away from you in the darkness as soon as your torchlight touches its foot. And you have a brief moment to look at a man covered in blood, with short black hair, and a hole in the chest of his apparent nightgown. is the first impression you get. He's wearing a single garment that looks a lot like a nightdress and has bare feet. And there is a hole in the middle of the nightdress, a round one.
Right.
And then you get to initiative.
Yeah, hostile spotted. Hostile spotted. I call, and
Yep.
yeah. So it's
We
2d6
got the
plus
live one.
awareness.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
Do I have awareness outside?
you have awareness, yeah, don't you? It's a speciality, not a limit.
Okay.
Okay. I get 11.
Right. I'm actually going to
3
be
plus
making.
2, 5.
Where's my pencil gone? There's my
I
pencil gone.
suspect that I am failing my initiative.
Yes.
I got 9, but I'm guessing that the enemy has an awareness skill, and if he's got at least, if he's got at least one awareness, then we're evens, and I need to check how that works.
Okay. So,
Actually,
Chrono, what did you get?
It needs 2 awareness for me to fail it. Thinking about
11.
Yeah.
And Fish got 9, and Book's got
5.
oh dear. And what did Tony get, Molly?
7.
7. Okay.
Unaware buddies.
My awareness is 3. I just am rolling crap.
Oh. I feel really bad. He just rolled quite well.
He doesn't, as far as I can tell, he doesn't roll.
It's against his awareness.
It's an opposed
roll.
test, and an opposed test, opposed rolls in this game aren't traditional opposed rolls.
Oh God, yes,
they modify the
sorry.
difficulty. So his awareness adds to the 8.
Okay.
And that's the difficulty we're trying to beat. And if we beat that, we go ahead of him. If we don't beat that, we go behind him. So if his awareness is 2 or higher, he's going before me.
Yeah, my apologies. I'm still slightly trying to get my head around.
It's a slightly weird way. I mean, you could completely ignore the liminal initiative system and just use an awareness check and take the physical number, the resulting number as people's initiative score, as per a standard initiative system.
You know what?
But the way the game actually works, as described, is do we go before the bad guys or after the bad guys?
You know what?
A simple check.
I am going to make an executive decision because I had considered doing that before, and I am simply going to take it as your awareness check is your
just an
initiative
check.
Yep,
because I think there's an element of being different just for being different. In which case, we have a tie.
My issue with this kind of you can go in whatever order, but do you go before or after the bad guys system?
Yeah.
Which I've not seen quite this one before, but that is common in quite a lot of games. As these days is a weird thing whereby somebody goes first and then they decide who goes next, which I can never understand why the bad guys would ever get to go before all the player characters have stomped them in those games. My problem with them is that decision as to who goes first. I think it slows down combat. If you've got a number, you can just go, right, Chrono, you're next. Molly, now you, as opposed to who wants to take the next turn, and you get a bit of a debate on it, and it slows everything down.
Yeah, I mean it comes out of Hero Quest.
Yeah.
Because the Hero Quest board game in particular had that. It was all the players act in whichever order they want. Then the bad guy goes.
Yep.
Lather, rinse, repeat.
I have that game several times. And I also have the video game adaptation of it when I was using my Atari. So, Chrono, would you like to roll me a d6, please? Because we have a tie, and that's how I'm going to resolve it.
Oh well, I got a 1.
Okay. Oh God, he got a 2. Clearly, this is the day. This is the day that dice are crap.
Rolling traditionally.
We are rolling traditionally, yes. So the vampire is going first. Oh my God, you are lucky. That came out wrong. So he tries to draw himself up to full height while not standing up. And with a very imperious and quite educated tone, stand aside and leave, commoners.
No, you.
I can't do that, mate.
Fish.
Yes.
There is no magic involved in this. You can quite
not
clearly
sensing any magic at all.
No, he is not trying to fluence anybody. He is simply attempting to command you to leave. Did you say one of you had history?
I have.
Would you like to make me a history check?
It's an education speciality.
Yep, okay.
History. So logically, education could be used as well, but I get an extra +2 on it.
That's okay.
13.
Bloody hell. Okay. In that case, yeah, you get the detailed version. His dialect, please ignore mine, is London, but it is upper class London, and specifically his phrasing is let me just check because I'm now having a paranoid moment. I did look it up just now. Damn it, drop. God's sake, woman. 19th century. Early 19th century. Think Napoleonic era.
It's the ghost of Jane Austen's neighbour.
Jane Austen's vampire in the basement. But yes, it is a touch forsooth, sir. Stand aside, ye common scum.
When I get to my initiative, I will announce this conclusion that I've drawn.
Okay.
In that very academic, as if he'll say it, as if he's studying a pot or something that's just been brought out of the archaeological dig. They're like,
Yes, that's early 19th century, I think. Upper class.
Treating vampires as though it's Antiques Roadshow. Excellent.
Antiques Roadshow. Yep, it's the Vampires Roadshow.
I found this in a coffin in the attic. I think it'd been left it by my grandfather.
Has it been in the family long?
Oh, it is my grandfather. Never mind. Okay, right. So
never liked the old podger. 200
yeah.
quid.
So that was his action. He's quite surprised.
So he's
that
something that I was quite happy with this game. Just bringing it up because it's obviously relevant to what's happening now.
Yeah.
Is the fact that it does actually have a section on how essentially social combat works.
Yeah.
It's not detailed rules because it's a fairly rules-like game, but I was quite happy that it has that. It's one of the games that has it. In the way that would work if you wanted to use it as a social challenge is, because it does work both ways, is that the NPC can make a roll on their appropriate skill, and the recipient of a social challenge on a successful roll doesn't have to give in. It's not an, oh, I made my persuasion, you've got to do what I told you to. It's they can either succumb to it or take a -1 penalty to all actions which contradict that.
Yeah.
So basically, if he successfully bullies you verbally, you would take a -1 penalty on anything except getting out of his way, unless you choose to use will, which is really expensive to do, because it's a loss of a D6 will to shake off the penalty that's going that is associated with the social challenge.
It's a biggie.
Yeah.
Right. So, literally all he did was tell you to stand aside. He is clutching a wine bottle, but as I said, he is covered in blood.
Yeah.
So, Chrono.
Okay. Bit of a setting question. What is standard procedure under these circumstances?
You're going to arrest a vampire.
Yeah, basically, is it neutralize the vampire as a priority, or is it restrain because I mean, obviously circumstances may depend.
It is neutralization.
It is neutralization.
It is neutralization. Yeah.
We're not in a situation where we have to sort of bring them in and hand them over to the vampire prince.
I didn't think so, but
no.
just making sure.
No. Thank you for asking. Good question, but no, that
because you get that with other people. You got things like the Fae. Obviously, they have their own sets of laws.
Yeah.
So
like we don't
want to hand them over to be dealt with by their authorities, but.
Sure, it's like we're not dealing with we're not classifying vampires as, or we haven't classified vampires as sentient enough to submit to the rule of law, as it were.
We're not about to start a diplomatic incident by staking one.
Sure.
No. After it had spoken to us instead of attacking.
Yep.
Okay. Good. This isn't Barovia.
No. There are conversational vampires, but they are predators. And where they are conversational, it's because they've lived long enough to figure out that the best way to get into a position where you can bite people is by dressing normally, by giving the apparent appearance, giving the appearance of normality.
Security.
Sure.
Yep.
In which case, then I am going to go for it's pretty much while he's not expecting us to make thing, I'm going to go for the lunge in and attempt to stab stake.
Right. You're going straight for the staking. Well, I suppose he's got the target on his nightdress.
Yeah, exactly. He's got
an aim point.
A convenient bullseye or entry location for me to reinsert.
He's not a person. He's a quick time event.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I'm playing
left bumper.
Yeah, I'm running a PlayStation fight now. His gut's glowing pink.
So it's a melee roll, I'm guessing?
It is, yes. And I'm just checking how he defends against it, because he's an idiot.
Bottle.
I guess he gets to roll melee or athletics, okay.
Since you didn't make an actual skill roll or anything, it wasn't treated as a social challenge. That means technically he didn't use an action, so you could easily apply the using his action purely defensively mechanic. Going defensive, in which case you can make an athletics skill test And on a successful roll, all damage against you is halved round down until your next action. On a critical success, you can get a bonus such as having ducks behind cover and not being able to be attacked as a result, or retreating from the battlefield, or covering for one of your allies to retreat from the battlefield.
Okay.
So you could treat it as that, and otherwise it's an opposed roll, which means that Chrono is rolling melee against whatever skill he's defending with, which is logically
he is defending with
athletics or
hand-to-hand attacks. Uses melee skill rolled against melee or athletics, whichever is higher.
Oh dear! Right, remind me, Fish. You've got the rules up more than I have, and I'm flicking back and forth. So untrained.
Untrained basically means treated as 0. Since he's not actually attacking, that just means it's an 8 to hit him.
Yeah.
If he has neither melee nor athletics, then it's just an 8 to hit him.
This guy can't fight. This guy's crap. Okay. He really can't fight. He's got quick reflexes. Oh, yes, he does. I take it back. No, he does. Ab 3. Yes, sorry. I was looking at the wrong list. No, he has melee combat at 3. I'm an idiot. So he's defending with the bottle at the moment.
It's a base 11 to hit him then, and 16 for a critical.
Okay, so base 11 then, right?
Yeah.
That is a 12.
Fine. Okay. But he's going to take your mark damage.
Did you decide to go that he was going defensive? Or did you decide that nobody will do maybe next round?
He was going to do it next round, yeah. At the moment, he's still very confused that you haven't given in.
Normal damage then.
Cool. Yeah. D6 plus 1.
I'm just checking.
That is 7 points of damage.
Wow. Damages are nasty in this game.
Okay.
It does not muck about.
No, because I'm looking like I only have 14 endurance.
I have 8.
That would have nearly killed me.
Same.
Okay. So yes, you thrust the stake at him. It's not a fatal blow.
Sure.
As these things go, but you have hit him, and quite considerably. He's not bleeding particularly. He's sort of oozing.
No.
Is it a paralyzing blow?
Hang on. I'm just. Okay. How badly off does he look? I mean,
it's quite hard to tell, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, how, given, in our experience, am I able to ascertain, anything about his status from the blow I have just dealt?
No. He's covered in too much crap, unfortunately. He looks like 9 miles a bad road anyway.
Okay, sure. In which case, no, I won't do anything else then. So yeah, it's basically because on that basis, I know that I am the fighter for the group. So my aim is to keep his attention on me while the rest of the team can assist.
Okay.
Or such, but yeah.
Right.
So, I whacked. I attempted to stab him with the stake, missed the target zone.
Yeah.
But still managed to deal significant wound. As I'm almost kind of in fencing position.
That makes sense.
Moving back and forth on my heels to maintain, but also to maintain his attention.
Okay. Yes, you're dangling the keys, jangling them in front of him, saying, "Here's something shiny."
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a specific mechanic for staking vampires?
Not that I have found.
I'm guessing it's reduces endurance to 0.
It's
and
probably just assuming we reduce his endurance.
Yeah. So Yeah, I mean, I am just making sure. Rapid healing. Basically, yeah, staking them would bugger up their rapid healing.
Yeah.
So if you reduce them to 0 with a stake, as opposed to anything
then
else,
they
they don't
stops them from
rapid
just
heal.
coming back
Yeah,
straight away.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Otherwise, they will heal even from below 0.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fish, you are up.
Okay, so as I understood the description, they sort of went round a corner and found him, so I can't see him, correct?
You can't see him, no, you can hear. He declaimed quite loudly.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had
guessing,
called out the hostile spotted.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that I would need line of sight to cast Touch the Darkness.
I'm not convinced, actually. Hang on a sec. Civilian contractor. Okay.
At the cost of 2 will, you expose a being either living or dead to necromantic energies. You make an opposed law test against their conviction. It doesn't give me anything like a range or anything like that, so I was just assuming it was pretty much line of sight that I needed to be able to see.
I think it's just you need to know they're there.
Yeah, if you want to allow me to do it based on sound.
Yeah. I'm going to do it based on sound and the fact that you have the sight.
So it's a good point. It's the sight is not necessarily, although it's called the sight, it's not necessarily visual. It's described as you can sense the presence of magic.
Yeah.
Magical and shape-changed creature. So he would presumably count as a magical creature.
He counts as a magical creature.
So I can hear him and I can sense him.
Yeah.
In that case, yes.
Creature of darkness, I abjure and defy thee.
And making a law roll against his conviction.
By this rust magic, I hereby abjure.
Oh dear. Conviction. Oh.
It's a social skill.
Yeah. It'd be nice if you had it, wouldn't it?
So just rolling against 8 then.
Yeah.
But he's not a spirit of the dead, so I don't get my speciality.
No.
Spirit who is dead, but
which means I only get 10. That's going to cost me 2 will to do it. Do I want to spend
3 will to make it?
Do I want to spend another 3 will to make it a critical?
That sounds awfully expensive.
Yeah, that would leave me on 3 will, and I'd be using my D6 recovery.
Yeah,
if I did that. So let's just leave it at just a hit then.
Okay.
Right. And
how much damage?
Now, again, the rules are a little bit vague, so I'm going to let you decide this as the GM.
Right.
This does D6 damage to will and endurance. Am I rolling a single D6 or am I rolling separately against the 2 things?
I would take that as. Oh, hang on. Is it will and endurance, or is it will or endurance?
Will and If you succeed, they lose D6 will and endurance.
That to me says the same die.
The way it's phrased.
Yeah.
If you read it exactly as written, it says the same die. Yeah, I was just wondering whether
I think it's going to be the same die. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to swap over to a red die for damage, I think. Let's see what we're doing. Yeah, this is my dice.
Oh, no.
Guess how much will and endurance he's losing?
1.
I'll be hopeful.
It rhymes with ton.
Oh, God. Okay.
Oops.
Well, it kind of works. You do have your move. You can move up to 30 paces. So if you want to try and get closer, you can.
I'm actually going to, since I can attack him from here.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to, even if it is crap, I'm going to stay here for the moment.
Uh-huh.
Because if something goes horribly wrong and he somehow overcomes the rest of the gang, I want to be sure that my airwave isn't going to be blocked by the building and will work when I call for help.
Okay. So, Molly, Tony has a turn.
At least if he has will-based, will-charged abilities, he's got one less point to spend using them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's perfectly reasonable, yes.
The only thing I think I can do is try to punch him, because I have no equipment and I have no, and it just says D6 unarmed.
If you would like, and this is not me saying you should, I would be perfectly happy to let you grab one of the many, many wine bottles there are in this cellar, because you can draw a weapon, knock an arrow, whatever, as part of your combat and still attack. You can attempt to glass him.
The time taken to evaluate whether that bottle of wine is expensive and could be preserved for a fine
percentage
dinner.
Chance of losing your action because you draw the wrong one and go, oh no, I'm not wasting that.
Exactly. One of her characteristics is rich, and so yes, she's going to not take the risk of destroying a fine bottle of Chateau who's he what's it
Molly,
from
did you
1903.
Have you burned any will to up to a critical?
One.
You have, haven't you?
Yes, I've burned one. So I now have 10 will.
You know what? Fuck it. I don't care that this isn't technically in the rules. Have that point of will back. You are following your character straight down the line.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. That is the best justification I have heard in ages for acting against your own best interests. Good for you.
I do that all the time. I just don't have a good justification for it usually. Okay.
No, I am perfectly willing to give you a point of will back for that.
Okay. Thank you. I think maybe instead of fuck no, I'm not wasting that. Yes, exactly. Okay, maybe let's see, what type of shoes? No, I'm still wearing the gaiters, sort of. So I can't take off a shoe easily and throw it at him. And they would not be heels.
You are probably, I'm not saying for certain, but you are probably wearing police issue boots or the equivalent thereto, but nicer, because you are going to a muddy environment and you're not stupid and you're not wearing heels.
And
I just realised who Molly is playing.
Yeah.
Has anybody either read the books or watched the TV series of Rizzolian Isles?
Oh, I hate you so much.
One of the two partners, I can't remember which is Rizzoli, I think it's Isles.
Yeah.
Is the medical examiner and is from a wealthy background. She's always wearing designer gear and is hanging out with an Italian street cop.
Yes.
Oh, right.
That is exactly what this character is based on.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, I know the show you're talking about now. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so you are in good quality, probably hiking boots.
Makes sense. And they're covered with protective plastic booties.
And they are indeed covered in protective booties. So they are bloodproof.
Okay, so I think, let's see, do I have anything expendable that I could throw? Probably not. Okay, but I will, since there's a little bit of a corner, I perhaps spend some time selecting an appropriate bottle of wine that is actually expendable.
Okay, in that case, would you like
I
to
realize,
make me?
Yes, I realize that might take me more than one round.
Make me an education check.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, that would be with my bonus at 12.
Excellent. Yeah, it takes you this round.
Nice.
You glance at the rack ahead to your right, and it's the decent stuff. It's not great, but it's decent.
Okay.
And then to the left is $2.99 plonk.
Okay, so
Chateau Tesco.
Yeah.
okay, then yes, we will.
$2.99. Yeah, $2.99. It's not a shout.
Blue Nun.
Oh,
You have
yeah,
no idea
okay.
what kind of vineyard that is, but
Yes. Okay.
No,
I
it's
will-
Lambrini. Yeah.
I will pick up a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
of those and
Probably the
hold
strawberry
them
one.
like
Yep.
juggling
okay.
thingies. The
Clubs.
the bowling
Yeah.
pin type things
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
juggle, and need
Yep.
2 of them.
Okay. Excellent stuff. So, thank you for that, and thank you for the best bit of role playing I've had in a while, actually.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't know why that amused me so hard. I like that so much. Books. It is Alison's go.
I don't know how much I can do in a turn, but I would like to cut a small gash on the back of my arm, yell at the vampire, "I'm full of fresh blood, buddy," while sort of waving the scent at him, then move back to the doorway into the sunlight.
Ooh. Sneaky, sneaky. That's going to be a social challenge.
It is, yes.
That's
Yeah.
taunt.
That
So
is, yeah.
that's going to be rolling. What would it be? Let's have a quick look at the skills list, shall we?
That is going to be
Taunt,
taunt.
taunt versus conviction.
Yeah, taunt. You're right.
Good thing I don't
And
have that.
he doesn't have to follow, but if he doesn't, he's got a -1 penalty on anything else he does for 1 round.
Yeah.
That is a really good use. I like that.
Yeah, and he doesn't have conviction, so it is just 8.
Yeah. And I like that the social skills actually have a value in combat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's not just, oh, I'll try and intimidate them into backing down. You can actually use them strategically or tactically in combat. That's really nice. The only other game I can think of off the top of my head that does that is Torg.
Yeah. Alison Saloon. Excellent.
5. I will spend 3 will to make it 8.
Bloody hell. Okay. Right.
Not 10 will, and I haven't used any yet.
But that will do it. You can see he starts drooling saliva at this point. You are 10 fat sticks mixed with ice cream.
10 fat sticks.
Sorry,
it's a Haribo sour sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sour gummies. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sour gummies.
I was like, is that 2 fat ladies? The television show? I did see that, but
yeah, 10 fat sticks are lovely. Sorry. They are, yes, very, very sour, mouth-watering sweets
okay.
covered in sugar. So, what he does is he starts crawling towards you because he didn't use his move, and I feel that he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
He is, however, clearly trying to resist. But he's gone from sitting with his back to the shelf to he's now on all fours. And as I said, drool.
Oi, get back here, mud for blood.
Okay, it's not supposed to re-roll initiatives each turn, as far as I can tell. However, it's kind of my preference because otherwise the losers do kind of get shafted. So I would like people to roll an awareness, please.
Okay.
Oh, for God's sake, seriously? I should hang on to my first.
I got a 12
13.
that time.
Okay.
Numbers are not numbering. Okay. Well, clearly that is not going as well for him as it could have done.
He's very
So-
focused on one thing.
Yeah, you're kind of dripping. So, Fish, 12. What did Chrono get?
13.
Really? Oh, great. Books.
13.
Molly.
10.
Okay. Well, so 13's going first then.
I vote Chrono goes first.
Okay.
Okay.
It's hard to have a high initiative when you're on your hands and knees.
Mhm. Well, depends on what you're doing and why you're on your hands and knees, I suppose.
Well, no, because it's going to be a low initiative either way. I suppose if you're on your hands and knees on top of something, it could be high.
Okay, we're not going there. Chrono,
Samir kind of like seeing the vampire like turn away and start crawling towards the rest. Like Samir realizes what probably Alison has done.
Yeah.
Spies. Shout out! I'm not going to note that. And he calls out, and then like leaps forward and tries to stake him.
Okay.
Down, this time, kind of like through the back because.
Yeah, well, you can get through the front, so maybe you can join the dots. So, yep, so he's got a 3 melee combat, so you're on 11s.
Cool. That is... so I'm on 10. I will spend the point of will.
He is going to attempt to go defensive. So, why did I bother? That would have succeeded, except for his
for the minus.
For the -1. Oh yeah. God, am I going to spend his? He's already taking will damage off fish. No. I think if he were not starving,
that to do 1 will damage to him, I had to spend 2 will. This is not. This magic is not proving effective so far.
Okay, it's half damage on the success, isn't it? When fighting defensively.
Going defensive, yeah. You make an athletics check, and if successful, you will take half damage for any attack that round.
Okay, yeah, I will do that. I will burn the point of his will. So he's taken 2 will damage effectively, and he is going to take half damage. So roll damage.
Okay, so roll damage. Sure.
I'd quite like him to last more than a round.
So he's taking 7.
That is before halving, yeah?
Yes, that's 7 before halving. Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be 3.
Well, let's go round mathematically.
It specifically said round down in the.
Oh, does it sound round down? Okay.
Yeah.
I have read this. I promise.
Do I feels bad to do this now, but okay. No, Samir is ambitious. He knows he knows he also wants to protect his team and take advantage of the opening that that Alison has given him. So he moves forward a little, he's moved forward perhaps a little bit too quickly, and kind of cut himself on the glass. On the glass of one of the broken wine bottles. I'm going to use give and take,
right,
to take 2 points of endurance, and add a d6 to.
Okay, roll it.
Yeah, nice.
This too will be halved.
Yes, so that's 4 halved to 2.
Jammy. Okay. That little bit of extra adrenaline from the cut. And also you might want to get some antiseptic on these cuts, just saying.
I probably have some. And
almost certainly.
And
and you have really good healing skill actually. So that is enough. Your stake baton asp stinks into his back, just next to the spine, skipping the rib. And apparently the fastest way to a man's heart isn't necessarily through his stomach.
Yeah.
if you're carrying a near meter long baton.
Well, you distract him. You distract him through the stomach by blood, and then you go straight through the ribs.
Yep.
The
that
fastest
works.
way is through the stomach if you've got a curved blade.
Yeah.
Okay. He collapses down flat.
Well, good. I don't
he
actually
is-
have to smell
Yeah.
this plum. Then.
No, he is currently immobilized. The way to dispose of a vampire properly is decapitation
Right.
or fire. But trust
Yeah,
me,
I'm
the
not setting
insurance.
I'm not setting a fire in a wine cellar.
Are you not?
Plausible.
So to that end, do I have something that, like, do we carry something that can decapitate?
Well, it's not in the equipment list, but
Yeah,
I'm assuming that
I'm guessing one of us would carry a large enough knife to do this.
I would.
I was-
Yeah, I should at
Maybe the one I
least have
used to give
Yeah.
the light slice.
Okay, Tony. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
You will have
just thinking-
access.
yeah,
Cool.
because I might need to be able to saw open, saw
Yes,
bones,
Yes,
even
that's
in the
true.
field
So you
and
could
so
at
on.
least have a
Almost
bone
certainly got a
saw.
bone.
You've got a
medic,
bone saw in your kit. Yes.
would you care to do
Not a
the honours?
euphemism.
As
I
I'm
think
leaning on the.
Okay, no roll needed.
Okay.
It's just up to you whether or not you want to flip him. Unfortunately, Samir's baton has to stay in him until he's decapitated.
Mhm.
Okay.
I guess there's probably enough room for me to lever him round so he's actually on his side. Use the baton
Well-
as leverage. to
well,
put
we
him on
could
his
lift the
side.
lift the head
Yeah.
and sort of place a brick or a couple of wine bottles, sort of,
The cheap ones.
like this. Yeah, the cheap ones,
Okay.
definitely. And
Yeah,
then
you can get a
know,
better angle.
yeah.
Actually, question before we do this.
Okay.
What happens when a vampire is decapitated?
Oh well.
Yeah, do they explode? Because if so, let's not do that there.
Yeah,
No.
is it body immediate? Like everything immediately crumbles to dust, or are we just left with a head and body?
No.
That's rather
We.
inconvenient, but easier than
Yeah.
exploding.
So far as I can tell, and I obviously will double check this, but from what I have read, it's going to be your end of a Hammer movie. It is going to be sudden aging to appropriate era.
Okay.
And this guy's 200 years
Cool.
old.
That's fine then. Then we don't need to worry about
Yeah,
blood spilling out everywhere and.
And-
I'm not going to do a detonating vampire.
Sure.
Thank you, because some
Thank
of us
you.
have allergies. I've decided that Tony does. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, so yes, you can indeed, and it's going to be considerably quicker, as you say, because you set up the thing. You can lever him up like he's a picture
Yeah.
frame, so he's sort of leaning on the stake, and you can put a couple of bottles under his head, and get the decent angle, and just set to work as his eyes stare unblinking ahead.
I'll take pictures.
Yeah. We need a little hat, for a
We
festive
have to
hat.
have the evidence.
Yes.
We are coming up to December, I suppose. We are in December, yeah. Okay, so this one's definitely for the Christmas party.
Little paper crown.
Yeah. Okay. So
Mhm.
okay, and then
Oh,
step back.
it's like a Christmas cracker. Only no.
And he stepped back, and his head falls and rolls away, staring at you as the mouth starts working in phrases that you're reasonably sure are quite insulting if he could still be talking. But then the skin melts away, crinkles, and falls off, leaving a skull at the same time as the body essentially skeletalizes itself.
Well,
Mhm.
good work, everybody. We got him. Hopefully. we're
Yep.
still going to need to check out the pit just to double check everything's safe down there.
Yeah, I'll take some
there-
samples of blood from on the vamp just so we can check that he was the one who ate the girls.
Excellent.
And I'll check
Uh,
the labels of the bottles that he was holding, just to make
Okay.
so that we can reconstruct his past history.
And then I call in the squad to basically do cleanup
Okay.
because we're going to need to secure these premises, wait for the owner to come back,
Okay.
to arrive.
Right. Okay, you can indeed. You can call in some uniforms and set the wheels in motion for clarification, for closing up the crime scene and cleaning up the mess, and also notifying the owner. So, as you do that, after you've done that, and you're sort of standing outside, you can, if Tony wishes, I believe you have the medicine skill.
I believe I do. Yes.
Did
Just
anyone take damage?
Yeah.
Only
did
kind of
damage to himself.
self-inflicted. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Chrono.
So I cut myself on
the
glass,
scrape.
and Alison cut herself deliberately.
Yeah. To be honest, I think that's a point of endurance for Alison as well. You can make medicine checks and get them bandaged, and I feel that Tony probably has iodine. There are better disinfectants, and less painful ones, but I feel Tony has iodine.
Okay. First medical check is 10 plus 2, so that's 12.
Sorted. Yep.
And next one is 7 plus 2 is 9.
Okay.
So
both of them will get a D6 back then.
Sure.
I'm full healed then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not good practice to go around with open wounds.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and iodine just feels appropriate because of the color, and also any stinging, because I feel like you deserve this.
Yes, you did this to yourself. You have brought this on yourself. She's got painless iodine. She's got painless disinfectant. They've got painless disinfectant in there somewhere. You just know it, but they always take the iodine bottle. Bottle. So, as you are hanging around and waiting for uniforms and such to turn up, Samir, you get a call from the Nick.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember his surname now. My brain's gone away.
God, no.
What?
Don't tell me. What's the name has risen?
Detective Bigham, we've had an informant come forward about the gardens. They wanted to talk to your unit.
Really?
Yeah. They're with the uniforms at the entrance gate.
Okay. Name?
Go slightly blank. They did say I could call them and ask.
Don't worry, we're not too far away. We'll just head back.
Yeah. They said they've got some information that might be useful.
Okay. Thanks for
Mr. Tepesh.
Okay.
Initial V.
Okay.
Cheers for the tip. We'll be back there shortly.
Right.
Okay. Once
so,
once the scene is dealt with, I guess
Yep.
we will head back to, because technically we have to go back and just
You do, yeah.
clear the pit or
Okay.
double check the pit.
So the Fang Gang can head back to the gate, and standing at the gate is a woman in double denim with a guitar slung over her back,
With a guitar and a dog on a string.
and a dog on a piece of string.
A hot dog, though.
I saw her lurking around here earlier on, but
Really?
she left before I could speak to her.
Ah, okay.
She walks up to the group and addresses David.
Okay.
I take it you're
Now
in
that I can get a
charge.
proper look at her, what am I seeing sight-wise?
Okay.
I mean, if she's just like a mage or something, I'm not probably going to not see anything. But if she's actually a magical or shape-changed creature,
Right.
then
what you are seeing sight-wise is the mirrors on her denim jacket would appear to have some form of low-level enchantment on them. It's very faint and really only visible up close. They're not doing anything at the moment. It's like they're in their station keeping.
Oh, I wonder if it's a kind of let your mind slide off her so that she can pass through crowds and such unnoticed.
Be. What gets your attention though is the dog.
Always.
The dog.
I say out of character.
Yeah, the dog is glowing, and it looks up and it gives you some serious side eye, and then growls at the woman holding the string. Yeah, can we talk somewhere private?
Well, you've misinterpreted the situation, I'm afraid. I'm just a consultant. This is the boss.
Okay, well, whoever, whichever.
Miss.
Yeah, but look, private.
Sure.
Okay.
Actually, we've probably got is there a porter cabin on site where there's
there
an
is
office?
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
We'll take it to the site office.
Okay.
Then.
Right, you can lead her in.
I will walk behind her as we go, so that she can't see what I'm doing. And I'm going to basically set up some counter magic on Samir, so that he gets my law as defense against anything that she might try to do to him magically.
Okay.
Mechanically, I don't know that I need to do that in advance. I just want to establish that it's set up.
That's fine. Okay.
I'm just following along with the group.
Okay, so you do that. The dog, she just is carrying on walking, following Samir. The dog, however, turns around as he's walking along, looks up at you, and makes a noise.
Oh.
And shakes his head. Fishy.
Yeah.
As a person who is of a necromantic tendency.
Yeah.
Would you like to make me an education? No, actually, it's going to be a law check.
If it is it to do with spirits of the dead or just law?
It's just law. It's related to the glowing dog. Well, there's a sentence.
That's going to be 10 then.
Okay. Yep. You're reasonably sure that this woman is a mage of some description, because you're 99% sure that the dog is a familiar, which means it's human intelligence. You just don't talk dog. And it's also onto you for what you've done. So, inside the porter cabin, the woman leans against the desk and introduces herself as... where is she? Okay, this is embarrassing. Tegan Barnes. I work here. Well, I do now. I work in the Euston Underground. She glances at the lot of you and seeing that you don't look terribly comprehending, I work for the Council of Merlin, which is, to all of you who will know, that is a formerly incredibly powerful organization of mages. Now it's we are honestly still as powerful as we were. Honest Gov, respect us. Council of Mages. But what you will know is, because you will have encountered them before. Having said she works at Euston, they station buskers, mages who are buskers around the underground. And their songs ameliorate the disturbance caused by the trains going through sensitive areas under the city. So she will explain that she has recently been moved to Euston to make sure nothing terrible happens, or help make sure nothing terrible happens.
I trust this isn't a social call then.
Well, no. Unfortunately, I missed it, but Derek here saw something, gesturing at the dog, who is a spaniel-sized animal with a mixture of straight and curly hair. You're not quite sure what's going into his ancestry. But he hops up onto the table via the chair and growls and a series of short barks. And she starts interpreting. And what she says is that after that those girls got killed, and the thing that killed them went lolloping away, before you lot turned up, and before the guard turned up, or as the dog puts it, before the man with the iron hand turned up, a second figure crawled out of the same pit.
I did wonder.
And headed out in a different direction.
I feared as much.
So, it is going to be that you will need to return to the station and start making plans as to how you're going to track another vampire.
There's another one out there somewhere.
There is. And that's where we're going to end it, because that strikes me as a good point.
It does. It does.
Yep.
Yes, that was one shot. Yes.
That was fun.
Well,
I enjoyed that.
One continuous story doesn't mean we do it in one sitting.
Exactly.
We savor.
Yeah. So when we finished and we're off stream, we can chat about when we can get people together.
Cool.
Because I know you all have like lives and stuff. Heinous, I realise. So,
No, not.
Thank you very, very much, all of you, for playing with me. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for running for us.
And I hope people have enjoyed watching. So, if you'd like to, obligatory, if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so on kofi.com/Druttercup. And thank you very much for dropping that link there, Molly. Well done.
Cheers.
And
Cheers to it.
shout-outs. Yes, you can follow Chronomagistrate streams weekly. Fish streams sporadically, but is very good
Once
when
in
he
a
does.
blue moon.
Yep.
Yes.
And you can follow them. I recommend following them on their channels. They are awesome.
A better link for me, actually.
Yeah.
If I can just find
Go for it.
You carry on talking while I find it.
Okay, yep. I will let you carry on with that. So we will be back to this. It'll be on a Sunday, same slot, but we will sort the date and we'll drop it on the socials before, obviously, we go live. And I will put it on my Twitch and probably on my YouTube as well. Thank you again, Jessica's Tales. Thank you so much for the raid. Absolutely.
Yes.
Anyone who's not following the channel, it would incredibly validate me if you did. If you feel like following me on subscribing on my YouTube, then that would help boost, because I'm going to be moving more content towards YouTube, and it would be great to be able to start building up a little viewership there. So I am Druttercup on YouTube as well as on Twitch. And yes, Fish is a GM on startplaying.games.
That is a better link for me, because that is the link for where I run role-playing games, mostly D&D at the moment, but I will. That's because people mostly want to play D&D. But yeah, that's my profile on startplaying.games, where you can find me running role-playing games for people.
Yep. Okay. So thank you very much indeed. And I have had an absolute ball, even though we have tweaked and played with the rules. I can cope with that.
I think that is fine. Interesting system.
It is.
I think I like the setting. It definitely plays to the sort of thing I would like.
Yeah.
I think the system will take a little bit more getting used to, like trying to figure out where the skills and such fall. But broadly speaking, that's very straightforward.
I'm not a big fan of rules light systems, but there's just enough to this one to make it worth using. And it's eminently tweakable to fit your personal preferences, like what we did with the initiative, where we just decided we'll just use this as a straight initiative builder. So I enjoyed that. I look forward to getting to play some more at some point.
Yeah, I will be quite happy once this is finished to bring episodes of this in, and with the same characters or with new characters. You are entirely free to do so.
I like David. I'm happy to keep playing David.
I like Alison. Her motivation is collecting vampire teeth.
Yeah, that's a point. You will be able to. Oh God. Oh God. I'm just seeing earrings at this stage.
Bracelets.
Dangly earrings, bracelets, knuckle dusters.
You know those shark's tooth necklaces?
Oh, Molly, you are one of the most disturbing, nice people I know. Okay, so thank you for that. I needed that. If you guys stay with me after I end the stream, and we can negotiate rough dates. Don't need to nail anything down yet. Thank you very much indeed. I will end the stream now, and I will see you. Oh God, it's Sunday. I will see people tomorrow at 6:30 on this channel for book club, where I will be reading Algernon Blackwood's The Kit Bag. Packing for Holiday Was Never So Haunted.
I thought you were going to say horny. Okay.
Yeah, different kid.
Well, knowing you're at the club.
And then I will be running afterwards. I will be playing Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. So, hope to see some of you tomorrow. And thank you very much. And I bid you good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.